Ryan Kelly's Kobe tribute. Ryan Kelly played 3 seasons with Kobe Bryant, which is already a cool connection, but things got way more surreal on January 26, 2020. And while that was unfolding, halfway across the world in Japan, Ryan Kelly was on the court. His stat line, 24 points in 24 minutes and 24 seconds. Exactly. Every piece of that performance matched Kobe's jersey number. All 3 numbers lined up like some kind of glitch. Now this wasn't just any random guy. Kelly was literally the last player to ever sub in for Kobe Bryant in an NBA game. On April 13, 2016, Kobe dropped 60 in his final appearance, and with just 4 seconds left on the clock, Ryan Kelly was the one who checked in so Kobe could walk off the court to a massive ovation. So when Kelly put up that 24, 24, 24 line just hours before the tragic news broke, it felt like more than a coincidence. It was clean, it was eerie, and it was timed with ridiculous precision. Kelly didn't just wear the same jersey once or play on the same team, he literally closed the book on Kobe's career in the NBA. Then 4 years later, on the very same day Kobe's story ended, Kelly dropped a stat line that spelled out 24 in every category: minutes, points, seconds. Every detail synced, nothing forced, no edits needed, just a straight up, wild alignment that somehow only basketball could deliver. Shaq's endless final streak. From 1984 all the way to 2020, every single NBA Finals had at least one player who either played with Shaq or would go on to play with him. That's 37 straight years. That streak ran through 4 decades and survived multiple eras, from Magic Johnson to LeBron James. Even before Shaq entered the league in 1992, players like Byron Scott were already setting the table. Scott played in the 1984 Finals and later became Shaq's teammate on the Lakers in the late 90s. That alone locks in the early years. Once Shaq actually started appearing in the finals himself, it got even easier. He was there in 1995, then again in the early 2000s, bringing in names like Kobe Bryant and Derek Fisher. But the crazy part is how the streak kept going even after Shaq retired in 2011. Guys like Rajon Rondo, who played with Shaq on the Celtics during that 2010 to 2011 season, show up in finals. Years later, Danny Green appears in the 2020 finals as part of the Lakers. That locks in another year. The streak didn't break until 2021, when the Bucks and Suns faced off and finally ended the run. No known teammates of Shaq on either roster, but for 37 years, one way or another, the finals always had someone linked to the Big Diesel. Past or future, his teammate network stretched farther than anyone expected. It wasn't about Shaq playing. It was the weird, ongoing web of connections around him that kept the streak alive, way beyond his last bucket. Cheryl and Reggie Miller's high school face-off. Both siblings played ball for Riverside Polytechnic High School in California, and both could absolutely light it up. Cheryl Miller didn't just dominate, she rewrote the high school record books. Her teams went 132-4 across her 4 years, and in her senior season, she set California records for points in a season with 1,156, and points in a high school career with 3,405. But one night, Reggie decided to drop 40 points. But guess what followed? Cheryl's 105-point game. That's right, one game, 105 points. It came against North Vista during her senior year, and it still stands as one of the wildest scoring performances in high school basketball history, topping Reggie after scoring 40 points. Not bad, right? Especially for a high school game. But when he got home, the excitement didn't last long. His sister had scored more than double that. Reggie's 40-point flex suddenly looked a lot smaller. They both played for the same school, and both had high-scoring nights. But Cheryl's 105-point game blew everything else out of the water. It wasn't just a win, it was a historic blowout, the kind you hear about years later. And while Reggie carved out a legendary NBA career, Cheryl's high school legend started with the scoreboard that barely had space to track what she was doing out there. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Mikal Bridges, 2 lead change game winners. In the entire NBA play-by-play era, only 2 games have hit more than 40 lead changes, and somehow, Bridges ended both of them with game winners. Not just clutch moments, final shot, walk-off, game-over buckets. Back on December 6th, 2023, the Brooklyn Nets and Atlanta Hawks went back and forth all night. The lead changed 43 times, the most ever tracked since the league started recording play-by-play in 1996. And after all that chaos, it was Bridges who put the whole thing to rest. He knocked down the game winner that ended the most lead swap battle in league history. Then, almost 2 years later, it happened again. This time, it was March 12, 2025. Bridges was with the Knicks, facing the Trailblazers. That game had 42 lead changes, just one shy of the record. With the Knicks down by 2 and only 3.4 seconds left in overtime, the Blazers had just taken the lead with a 3-point play. Bridges got the ball, launched a deep shot as time expired, and it dropped. Buzzer-beating 3. Knicks win, 114-113. He finished with 33 points across 41 minutes, but all anyone remembers is that shot, that moment. Somehow, the guy who hit the game winner in the most lead change game ever did it again in the second most. Both times, he closed it out himself. Not a random stat quirk, not just good timing, actual game-winning shots at the very end. You could not write this with a better sense of drama. The two most back-and-forth NBA games ever, both ended by Bridges. LeBron passes Kobe in Philly. On January 25th, 2020, LeBron James officially moved into third place on the NBA's all-time regular season scoring list, passing Kobe Bryant's mark of 33,643 points. He did it with a driving layup in the third quarter against the Sixers in Philadelphia, the same city Kobe was born in. It's wild enough that the milestone happened in Kobe's hometown, but the timing made it even more surreal. Just hours later, the next morning, the news broke that Kobe had died. So LeBron's climb past him on the scoring list wasn't just a numbers thing. It became part of a moment that basketball fans still remember as unreal. LeBron finished that game with 29 points and had tributes to Kobe written across his shoes. Mamba for life, 824 KB, all in gold marker. That wasn't for the cameras, that was personal. He knew what the moment meant. The Philly crowd knew it too. They gave LeBron a standing ovation when it was announced that he'd passed Kobe. And Kobe, he tweeted to congratulate LeBron later that night. It would be his final tweet. There's no twisting needed here. The facts speak for themselves. LeBron passed Kobe in Kobe's hometown. Kobe showed love. The next morning, the world changed. That one game, January 25th, 2020, ended up being more than a box score or a record update. The city, the timing, the players, even the gold ink on LeBron's shoes, it all landed in a way nobody could have scripted. A tribute, a milestone, and a goodbye, all packed into one night. Michael Jordan's Game 6 stat twin. In back-to-back finals years, facing the same team, in the same game number, Jordan posted the exact same shooting line while playing the exact same number of minutes. In Game 6 of the 1997 finals, against the Utah Jazz, Jordan played 44 minutes and went 15 for 35 from the field. Then, 1 year later in Game 6 of the 1998 finals, also against the Jazz, he did it again, 44 minutes. 15 for 35, not 15 of 36, not 14 of 35. Identical. This wasn't against some throwaway regular season opponent either. These were finals, clinchers, pressure at its absolute peak. Jordan playing heavy minutes, carrying the load, and delivering each time with the exact same stat line. And somehow that shooting percentage, roughly 42.9% both times. People always talk about Jordan's consistency, but this is next level. Same team, same stage, same stakes. And the numbers hit copy and paste. It's one of those bizarre, locked-in coincidences that only show up when you peel back the numbers and dig through the details. Game 6, Jazz, finals, twice, and Jordan's performance lined up like it was pre-programmed. The same rhythm, the same shot volume, the same court time. It's like the universe just ran the same simulation 2 years in a row, and Jordan still got the win both times. That's not just consistent, that's weirdly mathematical. Celtics reclaim win crown versus Lakers. On February 3rd, 2017, the Celtics and Lakers met for what looked like a normal midseason matchup, but this one had history riding on it. Both teams entered the night with exactly 3,252 all-time regular season wins, tied for the most in NBA history. That kind of symmetry doesn't just happen. According to ESPN, the odds of two franchises being tied in total wins when facing each other were 1 in 8,292. By the end of the game, Boston had broken the tie. They won 113-107, taking sole possession of the all-time wins lead with 3,253. For the Lakers, it ended a long run at the top. They'd either led or shared that record, going all the way back to around 2001. For Boston, it was a full circle moment. They were the winningest franchise through much of league history, but had fallen behind during the Lakers' dominant runs. This game flipped the script again. Isaiah Thomas led the Celtics with 38 points, pushing them past the milestone. On the other side, Lou Williams had 21, and the Lakers spread the scoring around with contributions from D'Angelo Russell, Larry Nance Jr., and Nick Young. But the real stat of the night wasn't about individual scoring, it was about legacy. Two iconic franchises tied in total wins, meeting head-to-head with history up for grabs, and Boston walked away with the record. not by some slow buildup or off-day result. In a head-to-head battle, they took the top spot back on the court. Kobe versus the Jazz, first failure to final farewell. Back on May 12, 1997, Kobe Bryant was just 18, a rookie thrown into the fire during Game 5 of the Western Conference semifinals. The Lakers were facing elimination against the Utah Jazz, and in the final stretch, from regulation into overtime, Kobe took a handful of crucial shots. 4 of them were air balls, not just misses, air balls. In 5 minutes, he had nothing but empty shots and a brutal playoff exit. It was the kind of moment most players try to forget. But nearly 19 years later, Kobe faced the Jazz again, this time on April 13th, 2016. It was the final game of his career. Same opponent, different stage, and everything flipped. He dropped 60 points, shot 22 for 50 from the field, hit 10 of 12 free throws, and scored the final points of his career in front of a packed crowd at home. No pressure, just domination. He didn't miss 4 shots. He made 22. He didn't fold in the moment. He closed his story on his terms. It's rare to see that kind of arc play out so cleanly. First major playoff heartbreak against the Jazz. Last moment under the lights, also the Jazz. Only this time, he left them stunned instead of the other way around, from 4 air balls to 60 points. From rookie collapse to career curtain call. Same team, totally different Kobe. That first Jazz game tested him. The last one, that was his answer. LeBron's 27, 7, and 7 paradox. Over his 2-decade career, LeBron James has become nearly synonymous with balance. His career averages 27 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. It's the go-to line that sums up what he's done night after night: scoring, rebounding, playmaking. But here's the catch. He's never actually finished an NBA game with exactly that stat line. Across thousands of games, regular season and playoffs combined, he's never hit 27, 7, and 7, all in the same box score. He's had versions of it, 27, 7, and 6, or 28, 7, and 7. But the exact line? Never. Not once. The only time LeBron's ever posted exactly 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists, that came back in 2003 at the McDonald's All-American game as a high school senior. That day, he dropped 27, 7, and 7 on national television, earned MVP honors, and led the East to a 122-107 win. He did it before stepping foot on an NBA court. That's where the coincidence hits hardest. The stat line he's become known for, his signature balance, was something he did once, as a teenager, and never again. Not through 4 championships, not through scoring titles, not even in garbage time against a lottery team. His most iconic statistical identity comes from a moment before the league even got its hands on. One game, perfect symmetry, then never again. Somehow, LeBron became the king of 27, 7, and 7 without ever actually delivering it in an NBA box score. Most missed threes in a game. The record for the most three-pointers missed by a single player in one NBA game is 16, not 15, not 17, 16 bricks. Officially, and it's happened 7 times. Once by Damon Stoudemire, 6 times by James Harden. Yes, 6. Stoudemire hit 5 of 21 from deep on April 15, 2005 against the Warriors. That kicked off the stat, but Harden, he took it personally. He hit this mark in a wide variety of ways. On January 13, 2019, he went 1 for 17 against the Magic. That's 16 clanks. Then 2.5 months later, March 30th, he put up 23 attempts against the Kings and made 7. Still 16 misses. The flood didn't stop. October 26th, 2019, he missed 16 more while going 2 for 18 against the Pelicans. In December, same season, he repeated it with 4 makes on 20 tries against the Spurs. Then 2 games in January 2020, 4 for 20 against the Hawks and 1 for 17 against the Thunder. Both featured 16 misses again. So while the stat might sound like a one-off disaster, it's actually a recurring milestone in Harden's shot diet. Some guys break records one. He tied it 6 times. That's not just cold shooting. That's elite level volume. Every time he hit 16 misses, he still put up 20 plus attempts. And yeah, sometimes a few dropped. But the record isn't about makes. It's about who kept firing. And Harden clearly didn't lose confidence, just the rim. Vince Carter's career timeline symmetry. When Vince Carter entered the league, the NBA was frozen. He was drafted in 1998, but didn't play his first regular season game until February of 1999 because of the league-wide lockout. That season was slashed down to 50 games. Not exactly a smooth entrance. Now fast forward 22 seasons, the longest career in league history. And how does it end? Another league shutdown. His final game came on March 11, 2020, just hours before the NBA officially suspended the season due to the pandemic. Carter hit a three-pointer in his last few seconds on the floor. Then the lights went out on the entire season. He began during a labor dispute and finished during a global crisis. The start and end of his career were bookended by two of the biggest disruptions in NBA history. One from the inside, one from the outside. That's not just rare, that's timeline-level weird. From post-lockout debut in Toronto to a pandemic-prompted farewell in Atlanta, Carter's career didn't just stretch across eras, it bridged two league pauses that most players never even experienced once. He was the first to play in 4 different decades, and he spanned from Jordan's Bulls to the bubble. But the weirdest part might still be this. His very first season started late, and his very last game came early. Same league, same disruptions. And somehow, the same player lived through both. Jimmy Butler's Heat jersey irony. Back in 2013, Jimmy Butler was a rising star with the Bulls, and he said something that aged like unrefrigerated shrimp. In an interview, he was asked,
"What's the one thing you never want to wear?" Do you remember your answer to it?
Yep, it was a Miami Heat jersey.
At the time, it made sense. The Heat were public enemy number 1 in the East. LeBron James, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh were tearing through teams, and Chicago kept running into that brick wall. The rivalry was heated, no pun intended, and Butler was all in on it. That version of Miami was the last jersey he'd ever want to put on. Fast forward 6 years. In July 2019, Butler signed with the Miami Heat. Full jersey, number 22. Big grin at the press conference. When asked about that old quote, he didn't dodge it. He admitted he said it and chalked it up to the intensity of the moment back then.
When I'm coming to the league, the Heat used to beat the Bulls all the time. We can't like the Miami Heat.
Things changed. He'd seen what the Heat organization stood for. Work ethic, toughness, accountability, and it lined up with everything he believed in. That rivalry turned into respect. Harry Giles' Sacramento tweet twist. Back in 2014, 16-year-old Harry Giles was stuck in Sacramento for an AAU tournament. He was recovering from an injury, not playing, and clearly not loving the scenery. Bored at the hotel, he pulled out his phone and fired off a tweet complaining there was nothing to eat in Sacramento. That was it. One cranky travel tweet from a teenager. Fast forward 3 years to June 22nd, 2017, NBA draft night. Giles gets picked 20th overall by the Blazers, and boom, he's traded to the Sacramento Kings. The same Sacramento he once called out for its lack of dining options. Suddenly, the city he once roasted online became the first stop of his professional career. And to his credit, Giles didn't duck it. He addressed the tweet right away. In a piece for the Players Tribune, he owned it completely. Said he was frustrated, young, and had no clue what Sacramento was really about. He apologized, made peace with the city, and made it clear that his perspective had shifted. It's the kind of full circle moment that could only happen in the era of archived tweets. A kid vents online, and years later, fate walks him right back into the same place. Only this time, he's on the roster. The irony's not subtle. It's a textbook watch what you post situation. Giles went from slandering the city to suiting up for it. From hangry teenager to NBA pro in Sacramento. One tweet, one trade, and a completely different view of the same zip code. Shaq and Dwight Howard, Orlando's deja vu, both started their careers as the number 1 pick in Orlando. Both became the face of the franchise, and both eventually walked away from the Magic in pursuit of something bigger. Shaq got there first in 1992, dominating early with Penny Hardaway and turning the Magic into contenders. Dwight followed in 2004, leading them to the finals in 2009. Different eras, same spotlight, but neither got the ring in Orlando. For Shaq, frustration with the front office and a sense of being underappreciated pushed him to leave in free agency and join the Lakers in 1996. Dwight didn't get to walk. He was traded in 2012, but the goal was the same: get closer to a title, team up with more firepower, and win on a bigger stage. What came next? Comparisons. Constant comparisons. Not just to each other, but to Kobe Bryant. Shaq's run in LA included 3 rings and a headline-grabbing feud with Kobe. Dwight's run? Expectations through the roof, chemistry issues, and his own tense moments with Kobe. Different outcomes, but the tension in LA felt familiar. Neither won it all in Orlando. Both eventually won elsewhere. Shaq got his in Los Angeles and Miami. Dwight got his, ironically, in Los Angeles. But in 2020, years after his prime, their exits from the Magic felt eerily similar. Public frustration, media heat, and questions about loyalty. One left in free agency, one got traded, but the patterns lined up like a script repeating itself. 2 stars, same team, same city, same choice. Leave Orlando, chase a ring in LA. Eddie Robinson's perfect stat split. From 1999 to 2004, Eddie Robinson played 5 seasons in the NBA, first with the Charlotte Hornets, than the Chicago Bulls. Two teams, same number of points, same number of rebounds. With the Bulls, he totaled 969 points and 382 rebounds over 144 games. Pretty standard role player numbers for that era. But what's wild is that his numbers with the Hornets, identical. 969 points, 382 rebounds, no rounding, no fuzzy estimates, just exact duplicates. That kind of symmetry almost never happened. These aren't career averages, these are raw totals. For a player to finish with the exact same point total and rebound total for two different teams across multiple seasons is ridiculously rare. And his career totals? 1,938 points, 764 rebounds. Exactly double the per team totals. So his time in Charlotte and Chicago wasn't just similar, it was perfectly mirrored. This wasn't manufactured. He didn't bounce around in short stints or stop playing once he hit matching numbers. It just lined up this way, naturally, improbably, and totally unnoticed by most people until years later. Eddie Robinson didn't have an all-star career, but he might have the most mathematically satisfying stat split in league history. Finals superstar streak. From 1982 through 2018, there was always at least one finals appearance by one of these 8 legends: Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Isaiah Thomas, Hakeem, Michael Jordan, Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, D. Wade, or LeBron James. 37 years, non-stop. Kareem kept it going throughout the 80s. Year after year, the Lakers were in, and so was he. When he finally stepped out in 1989, Isaiah Thomas was there with Detroit. Then came Jordan's stretch, covering nearly all of the 90s. Even when he took a break in 1994, Hakeem was right there, grabbing his moment and holding the line. Tim Duncan picked it up as the next man in, showing up from the late 90s into the 2000s. When Duncan stepped back, Kobe was in full force. That guy really held it down. But when Kobe wasn't there, it was D. Wade keeping things alive. Then came LeBron, who basically grabbed the streak with both hands and refused to let go from 2007 through 2018. Some years had multiple names from the list, which made the streak even stronger, like 2012 and 2013, when both LeBron and Wade were in. From Kareem's last run to LeBron's stretch of dominance, they never dropped the ball. One of them always showed up. Always. For nearly 4 decades, these 8 players somehow managed to link up one after the other without missing a single finals. It's not just wild, it's impossible to ignore. And the craziest part is, it never even felt forced. It just happened every single year. Back-to-back 3-1 comebacks. The Denver Nuggets did something flat out ridiculous in the 2020 playoffs. They came back from a 3-1 series deficit, not once, but twice. That's 2 full turnarounds, both in the same postseason. No other team in NBA history had ever done that, ever. First, they went up against the Utah Jazz, down 3-1. Most teams at that point start packing up their hotel rooms. Not these guys. They pulled off 3 straight wins and sent the Jazz home. That alone would have been a wild playoff story. But then they did it again, against the Clippers. Another 3-1 hole, another round, another comeback. Game 5, win Game 6, win Game 7, win again. You could feel the disbelief as it was happening. It wasn't just luck or a cold shooting night from the other side. They earned it. Historically, teams just don't survive that kind of pressure twice. Before that run, only 13 teams in NBA history had ever come back from down 3-1 in a single series. The Nuggets did it 2 times in a row, not over 2 seasons, not with a reset, in the same playoff stretch. That is absurd. This wasn't some one-time miracle or fluke bounce. It was consistent resilience. 2 series, 2 comebacks, same team, same playoffs. You just don't see that. The Nuggets took something nearly impossible and did it twice in a matter of weeks. That's the kind of run that leaves a mark in NBA history, whether you like the team or not. You can't deny it. No MVP champions. Only one franchise in NBA history has pulled off the ultimate team achievement 3 different times, winning a championship without a single player on the roster who ever won a regular season MVP. That franchise? The Detroit Pistons. Start with 1989. That squad had Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Dennis Rodman, and Bill Laimbeer. No MVPs then, and none later. Isaiah got a Finals MVP. Rodman eventually collected Defensive Player of the Year, but nobody ever took home the league's top individual honor. Still, they got the ring. Then it happened again the very next year in 1990. Same story, same core. Still no MVPs, no future wins, no past trophies. Just another title without that one superstar name carrying the weight. Fast forward to 2004, and here come the Pistons again. Chauncey Billups, Ben Wallace, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, Rasheed Wallace. All of them big-time contributors, all of them not MVPs. Billups snagged Finals MVP that year, and Ben Wallace was known for locking up the paint. But just like before, no one on that roster ever had an MVP, before or after. Now yes, people bring up the 2019 Raptors, and technically, that team also had no MVPs at the time. But there's a big difference. Guys like Kawhi Leonard are still active. There's always the chance someone from that roster does win one eventually. With the Pistons, it's sealed, done. 3 different teams, 3 different decades, 0 MVPs ever. Nobody else in league history can say that. Second round, every time. Robert Horry had one of the strangest, most consistent playoff careers in NBA history. He made the second round in every single postseason he played. That's 16 seasons. 0 first-round exits. He was in the league from 1992 through 2008. Over those 16 years, his teams made the playoffs every single season. And in every one of those playoff runs, they advanced past the first round. No early eliminations. Not once. He played in 48 playoff series total. His teams won 39 of them. Lost 9, but none of those losses ever came in round 1. It didn't matter who he played for, the Rockets, the Lakers, or the Spurs. Those squads always found their way into the conference semifinals at minimum. Even in years when the playoff format looked different or included first-round byes, the result stayed the same. If Horry was in the postseason, his team got through the first matchup. It wasn't some early career fluke either. This ran all the way through his final season. 16 playoff years, 16 second rounds. Sure, there were years he missed the playoffs entirely, but when his teams did get in, they always went deep enough to clear that first hurdle. No one else in league history with that many playoff runs has a streak like that. Not stars, not role players, nobody. You think of Horry for the 7 rings, the clutch shots, and the nickname. But this might be the weirdest stat on his resume. Not just a winner, but someone who never even tasted a first-round loss. 16 for 16. Jordan out. LeBron in. In 2003, the basketball universe did one of those perfect flips. Michael Jordan played his final NBA game that year, and just weeks later, LeBron James was drafted number 1 overall. Jordan's last game was April 16th, 2003, closing out his 3rd and final run, this time with the Wizards. He walked off the court, officially done with his legendary career. Then, on June 26th of that same year, LeBron entered the league, drafted by Cleveland, straight out of high school, just 2 months after Jordan's farewell. So while Jordan was walking off the floor, LeBron was literally stepping into the spotlight. There's no overlap, no season where they both laced up at the same time. It was 1 in, 1 out. Jordan finishes his final season, LeBron walks across the stage, and the league doesn't even skip a beat. Think about that. Arguably, the greatest player in league history retires. And the same calendar year, another all-time great starts his run. Not in theory, not eventually. Right then. 2003 is the line in the sand between 2 eras. One legend exits, another enters. No passing of the torch game, no matchup, just a clean transition from one face of the league to the next. Almost champion Alfonzo McKinnie. Between 2015 and 2020, 3 different franchises won titles. And somehow, McKinnie managed to play for all 3 of them without winning a single ring. He started off undrafted, bouncing around overseas and the G League before signing with the Raptors in 2017. The next season, they let him go. Just 1 year later, Toronto won it all. So McKinnie missed the party by 1 season. Then he moved to the Warriors, finally on a legit title contender. He played real minutes in the 2018 to 19 season, but that just happened to be the year Golden State lost in the finals to the Raptors, McKinnie's old team. So again, no ring. After that, he found his way to Cleveland, but they were far from championship for him. Then he joined the Lakers in 2020, right after they had just won the title. Once again, his timing was off by a few months. Lakers were champs, but McKinnie wasn't part of that run. So he played for the Raptors before they won, the Warriors while they lost, and the Lakers after they won. 3 franchises, 3 nearly perfect setups, and still 0 championships. Not even a late season signing ring. According to the records, McKinnie never got one. This guy was practically the Forrest Gump of NBA title teams. Always nearby, always involved, never holding the trophy. You could argue no other role player got that close that often without sneaking away with at least 1 ring. That's not just rare, that's one of the strangest championship-adjacent runs in recent memory. LeBron James versus Lance Stevenson. This was one of those matchups where the rivalry didn't need hype. It built itself. Their clashes in the Eastern Conference playoffs from 2012 through 2018 had just enough chaos to keep fans locked in. The first spark, that choking gesture from Stevenson after LeBron missed some free throws. And that set the tone. Stevenson made it his personal mission to poke, prod, and irritate. And LeBron, at least at first, refused to give it attention. That didn't stop anything. It only got weirder. By 2014, the ear-blowing moment dropped into NBA history like a prank at a job interview. Stevenson leaned over and literally blew into LeBron's ear during live play. It didn't earn him a foul, but it earned him a permanent place in highlight reels. He even said later that he regretted it, not because of LeBron, but because of the memes. Yeah, fans really ran with that one. And it wasn't just that. Stevenson tapped LeBron's face, played rough, drew technicals, and even got shoved by LeBron in 2018. That series had both of them reacting, verbally and physically. And referees were on high alert. They definitely didn't fake the tension. Stevenson called LeBron's trash talk weak. LeBron called Stevenson dirty. And sure, neither of them said it was personal, but those games got heated. The crazy part, they ended up as teammates on the Lakers. Stevenson said he thought it was funny. And honestly, same. No long-term drama, just playoff energy that boiled over. Shaq versus Kobe, two of the biggest names in basketball, sharing one court, but rarely the spotlight. From 1996 to 2004, they were the heart of the Lakers, reaching 4 finals and winning 3 straight titles. But behind all that dominance, things weren't exactly peaceful. Both wanted to be the guy. Shaq brought power and presence, while Kobe lived in the gym and pushed himself past every limit. That clash of styles never really smoothed out. Kobe was obsessed with discipline. Shaq, not so much. Kobe called him out for slacking in conditioning, especially in 2003. That didn't sit well. Then came the legal tension. During Kobe's 2003 situation, he made comments dragging Shaq into it, saying Shaq had paid women to stay quiet. Shaq denied it, and that crossed the line. Things got way more personal. The locker room split. By 2004, players were picking sides. The Lakers had to make a choice, and they sent Shaq to Miami. But even after that, stories came out about practice scuffles and heated moments. They still balled out though, grabbing all-star spots and championships together. That alley-oop to seal a playoff series, legendary. Years later, Kobe apologized publicly for what he said. Shaq admitted the media blew some of it up, but also said they had real disagreements. They both look back with more maturity, even praising each other in interviews. No one denies they clashed, but no one denies they won either. 3 titles, 3 finals MVPs for Shaq, and a partnership that defined a decade, even if it nearly blew up the team along the way. Dwight Howard versus Van Gundy. This one wasn't just messy. It unfolded live in front of reporters. In April of 2012, Stan Van Gundy told the media that Magic management said Dwight wanted him gone. Mid-interview, Dwight walked up, put his arm around Stan, and said he never asked for him to be fired. Same press conference, same microphones, completely different stories. Then that night, Dwight had just 8 points and 8 rebounds against the Knicks. It didn't help the situation. Within weeks, Stan was out. The team also parted ways with general manager Otis Smith. Magic leadership later said Dwight didn't directly ask for Stan's firing, but they did acknowledge serious tension. Dwight later called that press conference the worst day of his life. No off-court fight, no name calling, just a total collapse of trust and communication. Around the same time, Dwight was in trade talks. He asked out, then opted into 1 more year, and then finally got moved to the Lakers. That whole stretch turned chaotic fast. And then there's Jeff Van Gundy, not Dwight's coach, just an analyst with opinions. In 2013, Jeff publicly called Dwight's Lakers behavior immature and passive-aggressive. He said Dwight's attitude affected the team, criticized his offensive game, and questioned his focus. That wasn't personal. It was professional analysis, plain and direct. Factually, Dwight never said he hated either of them. Stan said Dwight wanted him out. Dwight denied it, and the team unraveled. Jeff never worked with Dwight, but saw enough to comment. No punches, no screaming, no drama outside what's on record. Just friction, frustration, and one very awkward moment with microphones that still gets brought up over a decade later. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Patrick Beverley versus Russell Westbrook. This rivalry had real staying power. It started in 2013 during the playoffs. Beverley dove for a loose ball while Westbrook was calling timeout, and the contact tore Westbrook's meniscus. Just like that, his postseason ended. The Thunder had 60 wins, title hopes, and then lost their point guard. That moment stuck. Fast forward a year. Beverley went after the ball again during another timeout, and things got heated all over again. Technicals flew. Then came 2017, more confrontation. 2018, double technicals after Beverley dove near Westbrook's legs. Westbrook hit a bucket and mocked him with the rock the baby move. The crowd loved it. The tension didn't stop. In 2019, Westbrook waved goodbye after Beverley fouled out. Picked up another technical just for the sarcasm. Then came the quote. After a big game, Westbrook told reporters, "Pat Bev trick, y'all, man. He don't guard nobody." That one stung. Beverly said later that it hurt his career. People treated him different. Players, coaches, fans. He said it stuck to him unfairly. Over the years, they clashed in over 30 games. Beverly's teams actually had the winning record, but the rivalry wasn't just about wins. It was personal, emotional, and public. It wasn't just trash talk. Coaches and media all called it bad blood. Then came the twist. In 2022, they became Lakers teammates. At Beverly's intro presser, the only teammate who showed up was Westbrook. That shift told its own story. For a rivalry built on injuries, texts, and public shots, their handshake as teammates brought everything full circle. Joel Embiid versus Ben Simmons. This one played out in real time, on the floor, in press conferences, and across team statements. It started with that 2021 playoff loss. The Sixers were the top seed, but Simmons had just 5 points in Game 7. Embiid referenced a wide-open dunk Simmons passed up as a major turning point. That one play got talked about everywhere. Then came the holdout. Simmons refused to show up for training camp that fall and asked for a trade. He skipped games, practices, and meetings. The Sixers fined him more than $10 million, the most ever for a single player. The season got chaotic, fast. Embiid didn't hold back either. He called it borderline disrespectful, especially to teammates who were showing up every day. But at the same time, he denied they had personal issues. He said he loved playing with Simmons, didn't want fans or media to stir it up, and hoped Simmons would come back. Simmons, on the other hand, admitted they weren't close off the court, saying you're not cool with everyone, but still pointed out they had great moments together. In February 2022, Simmons got traded to Brooklyn. That ended their run as teammates. Later reports said Simmons reached out, trying to patch things up. There were no public insults, no personal attacks, no evidence of hate, just frustration, professional fallout, and some brutally honest interviews. Embiid wanted Simmons back. Simmons wanted out. The rift was never about name-calling. It was about basketball, expectations, and one giant standoff that never really recovered until it was over. Chris Paul versus Rajon Rondo. This one had history, hostility, and a mouthguard. It started in 2008 when Paul made the Olympic roster and Rondo didn't, even after winning a title with the Celtics. That left a mark. In 2009, Rondo rubbed it in by telling Paul, "I've got a ring, and you're never gonna win one." Yeah, things didn't exactly warm up from there. Then came the jaw-dropping moment in 2018. Lakers versus Rockets. After a scuffle broke out on court, Paul and Rondo exchanged words. Paul said Rondo spit on him. Rondo denied it, said he had a mouthguard in, and accused Paul of playing victim. Paul pointed a finger in Rondo's face. Rondo punched him. Paul punched back. The league stepped in fast. Rondo got 3 games, Paul got 2. That wasn't the first time they tangled. In 2009, both got texts for jawing at each other. Through the years, Rondo kept throwing jabs, verbal and physical. Paul responded with his usual intensity. Then came Rondo's immediate comment. He called Paul a horrible teammate and questioned his leadership. Paul never went after Rondo publicly in the same way, but made it clear the spit was a line crossed. They faced off 29 times. Rondo's teams won 15 of those. Stat-wise, Paul dominated. More points, assists, and steals. But Rondo had the edge in playoff win. Over time, the fire cooled. They both acknowledged the rivalry, and Rondo even admitted they had some similarities. But that Olympic snub, that fight, and that comment about the ring, that stuff doesn't vanish. It just fades with age, a few suspensions, and time. Russell Westbrook versus Kevin Durant. It started as one of the league's most explosive duos. From 2007 to 2016, they ran Oklahoma City together, making the NBA Finals in 2012 and stacking deep playoff runs. Durant once called Westbrook genuine, highlighting their shared work ethic. But behind that, there were signs of friction, especially as the offense tilted toward Westbrook's heavy ball usage. Then came the break. On July 4th, 2016, Durant left for the Warriors, a team that had just won 73 games. That decision sent shockwaves. He didn't give a farewell press conference. No heads up, just gone. Westbrook became the guy in Oklahoma City, and the media had a field day building a rivalry. Westbrook never publicly blasted Durant, but he showed how he felt on the court. Stare downs, high energy dunks, and statement games. But years later, Westbrook told reporters there was no beef, just media noise. They faced off dozens of times after the split. Durant's teams won more playoff games. Statistically, both showed up, and every matchup felt like something bigger than basketball. In 2018, sources confirmed they were speaking again. Durant later called Westbrook a brother, even while others like Kendrick Perkins said they weren't really close off the court. The facts are simple. 9 seasons as teammates, 1 finals trip, then a breakup that fueled endless debate. No insults, no public attacks, just a complicated history between 2 stars with different styles and different destinations. The heat around their rivalry, it burned bright, but never fully boiled over. And time has cooled it into mutual respect, at least publicly. Michael Jordan versus Isaiah Thomas. This one didn't just stay on the court, it followed both players for decades. They faced off 65 times, and Thomas came out ahead in wins, 36-29. Even in the playoffs, Thomas led 12-10. But Jordan still dominated in the box score, averaging over 31 points in their matchups, while Thomas dished out 9 assists per game. The feud really heated up in the late 80s. Thomas's Pistons played physical, hard-nosed basketball, the infamous Jordan rules, designed specifically to wear Jordan down. It worked. Detroit knocked out the Bulls 3 years in a row. But in 1991, Chicago finally broke through and swept the Pistons. What happened next? Thomas and most of his teammates walked off the court without shaking hands. That moment stuck, and that wasn't the only early incident. Back in 1985, rumors spread that Thomas led a freeze-out during Jordan's first All-Star game. Both have denied it, but the story has never gone away. Then came the Dream Team drama. Thomas, one of the league's best point guards, wasn't selected in 1992. Many believe Jordan and others pushed for that. Rod Thorne later said Jordan never directly demanded it, but the tension was obvious. In The Last Dance, Jordan didn't hold back. He called Thomas an a-hole. Thomas fired back and said he'd only reconcile if Jordan apologized. Even in 2025, that sit-down still hasn't happened. This rivalry wasn't just about basketball. Thomas grew up in Chicago, and Jordan became the city's hero. That overlap only deepened the bitterness. And despite all the titles and accolades, this beef still lingers. Kevin Garnett versus Ray Allen. It started with a championship and ended in silence. Back in 2007, Boston's Big Three was born. Garnett, Allen, and Pierce teamed up and won a title in 2008. But 4 years later, Allen left in free agency and signed with the Miami Heat, the team that had just knocked the Celtics out of the playoffs. That decision didn't land well. Garnett said he took it personal. He told reporters he cut Allen off and didn't even have his number anymore. He felt it was betrayal, not just because Allen left, but because he joined a rival. Allen pushed back, saying it was a professional decision. He wanted another shot at a ring. And he got it, winning a second championship with Miami in 2013. From 2012 on, the silence between them spoke volumes. Garnett cropped Allen out of photos. Celtics events went on without Allen invited or mentioned. The beef wasn't loud, but it lasted. Even Allen admitted their personalities clashed in Boston. Small things like pre-game routines created tension. Years passed. Then life happened. Garnett said the death of Kobe Bryant made him rethink holding on to grudges. When Allen showed up to Garnett's jersey retirement, it was a moment people had been waiting for. And Garnett confirmed later, he let it go. No shouting match, no apology tour, just 2 players who built something historic, fell out, and eventually found a way back to mutual respect. That's the full arc. Champions, rivals, strangers, and finally, teammates, again in spirit. Draymond Green versus Kevin Durant. It was a championship partnership with cracks beneath the surface. Durant joined the Warriors in 2016. He and Green went on to win back-to-back titles in 2017 and 2018, but things shifted fast the next season. On November 12, 2018, the Warriors were tied with the Clippers at the end of regulation. Green grabbed a rebound and pushed the ball up court without passing to Durant, who was calling for it. The play broke down, and cameras caught Durant fuming. What fans didn't see was what happened next. A heated argument in the locker room, one that reportedly went beyond basketball and straight into Durant's looming free agency. The fallout was serious. The Warriors suspended Green for 1 game without pay for conduct detrimental to the team. That wasn't the only friction. There had been earlier in-game disagreements between the two, including one during a matchup against Memphis the season before. The tension was real and persistent. After the season, Durant left Golden State for Brooklyn. He later said it wasn't just the argument that mattered, it was how the Warriors handled it. No real resolution, no accountability. That's what stuck with him. Green eventually spoke out too. He said the team should have let them resolve it themselves. Years later, both have reflected publicly. Durant admitted there was blame on both sides. Green said he has love for Durant, but their relationship is complex. They won together, they clashed hard, and the way it all unraveled became a turning point, not just for them, but for the Warriors dynasty as a whole. Allen Iverson versus Larry Brown. It wasn't a rivalry, but it was a storm. Iverson, the number 1 pick in 1996, was the league's most electric guard. Brown, hired in 1997, was a Hall of Fame coach with a no-nonsense style built on discipline, structure, and practice. You can probably see where this went. From the start, their relationship clashed. Brown wanted defense and order. Iverson wanted freedom and buckets. Practices turned into battlegrounds. Brown publicly called out Iverson for missing them, and Iverson famously responded in a press conference by repeating the word practice over and over. That moment became a meme, but it was rooted in real tension. Iverson was grieving a friend's death, frustrated with the media, and feeling misunderstood. Brown, meanwhile, was trying to keep a young, rebellious team focused. Despite the clashes, they won. In 2001, the Sixers reached the NBA Final. Iverson won MVP. Brown got Coach of the Year. It was proof their chaos had a rhythm, but after that run, cracks deepened. Brown resigned in 2003 and went on to win a title with the Pistons the next season. Years later, both men looked back with respect. Iverson called Brown the best coach in the world. Brown said Iverson taught him how to connect with players who were different from him. They acknowledged they misunderstood each other at times, but never denied each other's greatness. The yelling, the tension, the practice rant, all part of a bigger picture. It was never hate. It was two icons pulling in different directions and somehow dragging a team all the way to the finals. Dennis Rodman versus Karl Malone. This one wasn't your average grudge. It came wrapped in rebounds, trash talk, and a random wrestling match nobody asked for. Rodman, the master of chaos, was all about defense and mental warfare. Malone, the tank in sneakers, just wanted to score buckets and crush souls in the paint. So when the Bulls and Jazz collided in the finals 2 years in a row, these two weren't just clashing. They were circling each other like bumper cars in a parking lot. Rodman got in Malone's face constantly, trying every trick in the book to throw him off. Verbal jabs? Check. Tangles on the floor? You bet. And yeah, the Bulls trusted Rodman to mess with Malone as much as possible, even though Malone was scoring more often than not. Their physical battles became must-watch moments, especially when they crashed to the floor in Game 6 of 1998. That clip gets replayed more than family arguments at Thanksgiving. Then came the plot twist. Pro wrestling. Rodman skipped a Bulls film session during the finals to hang with Hulk Hogan, and by July, he was tag teaming with him in a match against Malone and Diamond Dallas Page. Because sure, why not fight your NBA nemesis in spandex? Even wilder, Rodman said Malone once dated his sister for 3 years. So yeah, this rivalry had layers. But despite all the noise, both guys admitted they respected each other's game. Rodman was annoying, but effective. Malone was brutal, but consistent. Together, they made the kind of rivalry you don't forget. Not pure hatred, but definitely not hugs and high fives. Kobe Bryant versus Smush Parker. This wasn't a rivalry. It was more like a cold war in sneakers. From 2005 to 2007, they shared a backcourt on the Lakers, but apparently didn't share much else. According to Parker, Kobe never spoke to him, not once. Not during games, not on flights, not in practice. The one time Parker tried to make small talk about football, Kobe reportedly told him to earn some accolades before starting a conversation. Years later, Kobe didn't hold back. In 2012, he called Parker the worst and said he only made the team because the franchise was too cheap to pay for a real point guard. Parker didn't take that lightly. He later called the experience overrated and said Kobe's greatness on the court didn't excuse how he treated people. The vibe, not exactly warm. Parker's issue wasn't with Kobe's game, it was the personality. He said being treated like he didn't exist made him feel small, like he didn't belong. That kind of disrespect hit different when you're logging real minutes next to a future Hall of Famer. Other players, like Gilbert Arenas, offered context. They explained Kobe's expectations weren't just high, they were legendary. If Parker didn't match that drive, Kobe shut the door, literally. Despite all that, there was no physical fight, no off-court blow-ups, no dramatic reconciliation, just a locked vault of tension, with both guys standing their ground in interviews. Kobe had the rings, Parker had the stories, and somewhere in between sat one of the more unforgettable teammate dynamics in modern NBA history. Two very different players, one very icy locker room. Jimmy Butler versus Karl Anthony Towns. This one didn't stay behind closed doors. It kicked off when they became Timberwolves teammates in 2017, but by the next year, it was boiling over. The famous practice, Butler reportedly ran with the backups and still beat the starters, including Towns, then let the entire gym hear about it. That moment stuck. It turned into the defining image of a team that had talent but zero harmony. Butler asked out soon after. He wanted a trade, and while he said it was about winning, everyone could see the fracture with teammates like Towns was a huge factor. Minnesota sent him to Philadelphia in November. Behind the scenes, it was even messier. Reports said Towns told the front office he couldn't coexist with Butler if something didn't change. That says a lot. Former teammate Jeff Teague later said Butler came into that practice hunting for conflict just to prove a point. Towns has acknowledged it happened, but never dove too deep, often giving a lighter version when asked. Then came the rumors, mostly noise about off-court stuff that Towns shut down as fake. But the real tension? That was about culture and competitiveness. Even after Butler left, the spotlight followed. Whenever they faced off, fans watched for drama. And while they haven't had major run-ins on the court, the edge is still there. Towns has outplayed Butler in some matchups since. But the original conflict still defines how people talk about both of them. This wasn't just about basketball. It was two totally different mentalities that couldn't mesh. Intensity clashing with chill. And the fallout made sure nobody forgot it. Kevin Garnett versus Carmelo Anthony. The night of January 7th, 2013 is when it all popped off. The Celtics were playing the Knicks, and things got heated between Garnett and Melo during the fourth quarter. Both got hit with technical fouls after jawing at each other nonstop. But that wasn't the end. After the final buzzer, Melo didn't head out the normal way. He stormed through the tunnel near the visiting locker room, trying to confront Garnett. Security and New York City police had to step in near the team bus. The league took it seriously and suspended Melo for one game. Garnett, no suspension. Melo later said Garnett said something during the game that crossed the line. He never repeated the words, just said it was something a man doesn't say to another man. That's where the infamous Cheerios rumor came in. People started saying Garnett made a comment involving Melo's wife. Garnett denied it flat out later, saying he never mentioned anyone's family and called the story false. Still, the tension was real. Melo said he just wanted to talk things out. He claimed they did, and he held no grudge. Garnett brushed it off as part of the game and kept it moving. No punches, no long-term fallout, just a high-intensity standoff between two stars on rival teams. The Knicks and Celtics were already division rivals. Garnett brought fire, and Melo brought buckets. Put that in Madison Square Garden and mix in trash talk, and you get one of the more memorable NBA flashpoints of the decade. No lasting feud, but for one night, it got personal, and the whole league saw it. Paul Pierce versus LeBron James. This rivalry ran deep through the Eastern Conference for years. They went head-to-head 69 times, and LeBron barely edged it, winning 35-34. Pierce had the edge in regular season games, but when it came to the playoffs, LeBron's teams won 17-13. That playoff success tilted the balance when it mattered most. Stat-wise, LeBron outproduced Pierce nearly every time. He averaged just under 30 points with 6 rebounds and 6 assists. Pierce, by comparison, put up about 20 points, 5 rebounds, and just under 4 assists per game in their matchups. The numbers show LeBron's impact went beyond scoring. They faced off in at least 5 playoff series, and each one felt like a mini war. The rivalry heated up in the late 2000s, when Boston's Big Three stood in LeBron's way year after year. The 2008 series between the Celtics and Cavaliers went 7 games, and it pushed LeBron to rethink everything about how he competed. Their battles weren't just tactical. They were physical, emotional, and sometimes downright tense. One infamous playoff clash even got LeBron's mom involved from the sideline. The intensity was real. And off the court, Pierce wasn't shy. He's praised LeBron's greatness, but also kept the debate alive in media, constantly weighing in on LeBron's legacy. That's what made this rivalry stand out. It wasn't built on hate, it was built on high-stakes competition, playoff history, and pride. These weren't just two players. They were Eastern Conference gatekeepers for a decade, and the razor-thin head-to-head record proves how closely matched they really were through the height of their careers. Magic Johnson versus Isaiah Thomas. These two started off as close friends, real ones. They greeted each other with a kiss before games, which wasn't about show. It was mutual respect. But when their teams collided in the finals in the late 80s, things started to crack. In 1988, Magic's Lakers beat Isaiah's Pistons in a brutal 7-game series. The next year, Detroit got revenge with a sweep, and the tone of their friendship changed. That tension only got worse. Around the time of Magic's HIV announcement in 1991, he believed Isaiah had helped spread false rumors about his health and sexuality. Isaiah denied it. He said he never said anything about Magic's private life and didn't even know Magic's agent well enough to have that kind of conversation. But the damage was done. And when the Dream Team was announced in 1992, Isaiah was left off. It's long been believed that Magic's issues with him played a role. For years, they didn't talk. Magic said he was hurt. Isaiah felt betrayed by the public accusation. The friendship that once lit up the league had faded into silence. But then, in 2017, they sat down face to face on live TV. Magic apologized. Isaiah broke down. They hugged. Years of tension dissolved. Right there on camera. Stat-wise, Magic had the edge in regular season wins, but Isaiah took more playoff games. Both were elite in their own ways. But this rivalry wasn't really about stats. It was about trust, conflict, and finally, reconciliation. It started as the league's most heartwarming friendship, turned bitter, and ended with tears, healing, and two legends finally on the same page again. Dwight Howard versus Kobe Bryant. This one had everything: finals history, locker room tension, on-court clashes, and regrets. Back in 2009, Kobe's Lakers beat Dwight's Magic in the finals, 4-1. It was a huge moment. Before that, Dwight had already been dunked on by Kobe as a rookie in 2004. That moment stuck with him. Fast forward to 2012, Howard joins the Lakers in a massive trade. Kobe's intense. Dwight, not thrilled. Howard later admitted he didn't want to join LA in the first place. The season had big names: Kobe, Howard, Nash, Gasol, but it never clicked. Kobe tore his Achilles. The team got swept in the first round, and behind the scenes, not much better. Howard said Kobe barely talked to him, even during a private flight to the All-Star game. He felt misunderstood. Kobe's energy was all business. Dwight wanted support. It didn't mix. Then came the real fireworks. In 2014, when Howard returned with Houston, they got into it on opening night. Dwight threw an elbow. Kobe called him soft. They jawed. Both got technicals. It was clear. The tension hadn't faded. Kobe kept calling Dwight soft in interviews after that. Howard, years later, said he didn't hold a grudge. He said the beef was blown up by fans and media. But he did say that Kobe's coldness influenced his decision to leave the Lakers, and he regretted how it ended. This wasn't a feud built on hatred. It was a clash of two totally different mindsets. Kobe wanted blood, rings, and sacrifice. Dwight wanted balance, fun, and respect. In the end, they never found a middle ground, and the basketball world remembers it. Carmelo Anthony versus George Karl. This one wasn't about a single blow-up. It was a slow burn that lasted for years. Melo was Denver's star from 2003, and George Karl coached him from 2005 to 2011. They made the playoffs every season together, but the chemistry, rocky from the start. Melo said their first real interaction had Karl calling him overrated. Not exactly a warm welcome. Karl's criticisms didn't stay behind closed doors. In his book, Furious George, he said Melo didn't commit to defense, was tough to coach, and didn't like sharing the spotlight. He even called him a user of people. That wasn't gossip. That came straight from Karl's own writing. He also doubled down in interviews, calling Melo an individualist who preferred scoring to team defense. According to Karl, getting through to Melo was a challenge. Melo's response, dismissive. When asked, he called Karl's comments irrelevant and said he only cared about what teammates and actual coaches thought. Still, he's admitted those comments helped shape how fans and media viewed his defense for years. So even if he wasn't shouting back, the criticism stuck. After Melo was traded to New York in 2011, Karl leaned into his critiques. He posted on social media, called Melo a ball hog, and made sure his perspective was known. Melo, for his part, stayed mostly quiet, saying he never had real beef and didn't think the coaching staff gave him direct feedback at the time. Their partnership lasted 6 years, no championships, just tension, public jabs, and two very different philosophies clashing behind the scenes. It wasn't personal warfare. It was a long, awkward divorce with receipts. Draymond Green versus Rudy Gobert. This rivalry didn't come out of nowhere. It built over years of Defensive Player of the Year debates and competitive tension. It started in 2017 when Green won the award over Gobert. Then Gobert won it multiple times after that, which only fueled comparisons and media debates over who deserved the crown as the league's best defender. And neither guy has ever been the type to shrug things off quietly. But the real turning point came on November 14, 2023. A fight broke out in a Warriors-Timberwolves game. Gobert stepped in to break things up, and Green ran over, wrapped Gobert in a headlock, and dragged him off the court. Both were ejected. The league hit Green with a 5-game suspension for escalating the situation. Gobert, Klay Thompson, and Jaden McDaniels were each fined $25,000. Gobert called Green's behavior clown stuff. Green didn't apologize, but said he needed room for growth. That's the most definitive moment in their rivalry, and it wasn't the first sign of friction. In 2019, Green mocked Gobert for crying after an All-Star snub. In 2022, Gobert tweeted, "Insecurity is always loud," during the Warriors' internal drama with Green and Jordan Poole. They met again in the 2025 playoffs, and the narrative picked up right where it left off. Gobert said he respected Green's competitiveness, but stayed focused on his own game. Their styles couldn't be more different. Gobert's a quiet rim protector. Green's an emotional on-ball menace. But that contrast is exactly why this rivalry keeps getting attention. One headlock, a bunch of jabs, and a defensive battle that still gets replayed every time they meet. Isaiah Thomas versus Larry Bird. This was one of those rivalries that was more about basketball than beef. They faced off over 60 times in their careers, and Bird had the edge overall, winning around 40-23. But in the playoffs, they split it right down the middle, 11 wins each. And it wasn't just numbers. Their matchups were physical, strategic, and high stakes. One of the most iconic moments came in the 1987 Eastern Conference Finals, Game 5, final seconds. Isaiah tries to inbound the ball, and Bird steals it, whips it to a teammate, and the Celtics win. That play became a highlight reel staple, and even Isaiah later called it one of the defining plays of their era. Then came the controversy. After a loss to Boston, Isaiah was quoted saying Bird was overrated, but he later explained it wasn't personal. It was about how the media talked about white players versus black players. That moment stirred things up, but it didn't spiral. No fights, no long-term public feud, just two elite competitors doing what they did best. Years later, things circled back. Isaiah coached the Pacers in the early 2000s, and Larry Bird, then the team's president, fired him in 2003. Isaiah later said he felt like he didn't get a real chance, and Bird said it was a decision about team direction, not personal issues. They've both reflected on it publicly. Isaiah even told Bird he thought the firing was a mistake, but neither kept it going as drama. This was a rivalry built on classic games, playoff tension, and a few sharp words, but always grounded in mutual respect and high-level basketball. Nothing bitter, just basketball history. Kevin Garnett, drafted 5th overall in 1995 by Minnesota. Garnett quickly became the face of the Timberwolves. Glenn Taylor had just bought the team the year before, and Flip Saunders took over as head coach that December. Garnett played his heart out for that franchise, and after he retired in September 2016, he expected more than just applause and a handshake. He believed there was an understanding, an actual path into the front office or ownership group. The plan? Work with Flip Saunders and help guide the team off the court. But when Saunders passed away in October 2015, everything fell apart. Garnett says that plan died with him. By April the next year, Garnett made it clear he thought Taylor broke promises. Their relationship had unraveled. Taylor said Garnett never made a formal bid to buy into the team, but Garnett claimed there was already an understanding and that Taylor just walked away from it. Garnett's made no secret of how he feels. In 2020, he said he wasn't even thinking about letting the team retire his jersey. He flat out refused, called Taylor a snake, said he doesn't do business with snakes. And to this day, he stands by that. Even when Boston retired his number 5 in 2022, Minnesota stayed silent. Garnett's been public about wanting to own part of a team, any team, but his chance with Minnesota, he says it was sabotaged, and the rift with Taylor still hasn't healed. Harrison Barnes. On February 6th, 2019, Barnes was traded by Dallas to Sacramento during an actual game. He was on the bench with about 6 minutes left against Charlotte when the news broke. He'd already scored 10 points in 25 minutes and never went back in. Cameras caught him sitting calmly, supporting his team, while the trade swirled behind the scenes. The move sent Barnes to the Kings in exchange for Justin Jackson and Zach Randolph. Official confirmation didn't drop until after the final buzzer, but the deal was close enough during the fourth quarter that Dallas kept him on the bench. His agent, Jeff Schwartz, reportedly knew a trade was possible before tip-off, so this wasn't totally out of the blue, but it was still wild timing. Barnes had signed a 4-year contract with Dallas back in July 2016, worth about $94 million. At the time of the trade, he was averaging nearly 18 points a game. The Mavericks got more than just players. They got cap flexibility. Since Randolph's contract was expiring, Coach Rick Carlisle called Barnes a model pro. Dirk Nowitzki said Barnes was a better man than him. Mark Cuban tweeted thanks and praised him for being first class. That's a lot of compliments for someone who just got sent packing. Sacramento picked him up to make a playoff push. He had a player option for the next season, so they weren't gambling on a long-term deal. 2 days after the trade, Barnes suited up. Dallas, meanwhile, used the extra room to pivot toward the future. This wasn't just a trade. It became one of the most talked about mid-game deals the league had seen in years. Isaiah Thomas. In the 2016 to 2017 season, he averaged nearly 29 points per game for Boston and earned All-NBA second-team honors. But during a game on March 15th against Minnesota, he suffered what the team called a right knee bruise. Turns out, it was a right hip injury, a labral tear, something way more serious than first announced. Despite the pain, he played through it. Boston made the playoffs as the top seed in the East, and Thomas dropped 53 points in a game against Washington. But by Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals, his hip gave out. The Celtics shut him down for the rest of the postseason, revealing the original injury had been aggravated. Later, Thomas said the team didn't fully disclose the risks tied to the hip. No one outside the team knew how serious it was until after the playoffs. The damage impacted his career, and the next move made it worse. On August 22nd, Boston traded him to Cleveland in a blockbuster deal for Kyrie. Cleveland's doctors flagged his hip as a problem, and the Cavaliers pushed for more compensation. Boston added a second-round pick to complete the trade. Thomas never looked the same. He bounced between teams, struggled with mobility, and never returned to his all-star form. He believed he could still play at a high level, but the hip injury and how it was handled changed everything. The Celtics knew about the issue before the trade, and the Cavaliers' demand for extra value shows it mattered. From potential franchise leader to trade asset with declining value, Thomas's trajectory shifted in a way he never saw coming. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Blake Griffin, drafted first overall in 2009, Griffin became the face of the Clippers. In June 2017, he signed a 5-year deal worth around $173 million. During the re-signing pitch, the team staged a dramatic walkthrough of his life, ending with a mock jersey retirement to sell the idea that he'd be a Clipper forever. No one mentioned that forever would last 7 months. By January 2018, Griffin was traded to Detroit alongside 2 other players. In return, the Clippers got Tobias Harris, Avery Bradley, Boban, and 2 draft picks. Griffin didn't have a no-trade clause, so when the team decided to reset the roster, they moved him without needing his approval. What hit harder than the trade was how it happened. Griffin said he learned about the deal from a tweet. The same team that held a fake jersey retirement for him didn't give his agent a heads up. He later said he wished they'd gone about it differently. That's an understatement. Griffin had missed some games that season due to injury, but he was still producing. The Clippers decided to shift direction and start fresh. For Griffin, the trade ended a chapter he thought would last much longer. He did earn another All-Star nod in Detroit the next season, but the emotional fallout from the Clippers move lingered. What makes this feel like sabotage? The dramatic commitment followed by a fast trade. The marketing gestures clashed hard with the business decision. It wasn't the trade itself, it was the way it was done, and the story the team sold before doing it. Kobe Bryant. In the 2012 to 2013 season, he averaged over 38 minutes a game, his highest mark in 6 years. At 34 years old, that's a brutal load, especially with the Lakers running a tight 7-man rotation late in the season. With a playoff spot on the line, Kobe was playing nearly full games every night. On April 10th, he dropped 47 points and played all 48 minutes against Portland. 2 days later, after another heavy workload, he tore his Achilles. That injury ended his season, and some say it changed his entire career. The Lakers did make the playoffs, but got swept in the first round without him. The team's strategy? Lean on Kobe until the wheels fell off. Coach Mike D'Antoni caught heat for not managing his minutes better. Reports say Kobe played through pain, logged multiple 40-minute nights, and didn't get proper rest. The Los Angeles Times wrote that the Lakers weren't strong enough to protect Kobe from himself. Ouch, but not wrong. Kobe admitted he wanted to push, but the team let it happen, and it cost him. The following season, he played only 6 games. From that point on, injuries kept piling up. He was carrying a playoff push while the roster got thinner and the rotation shrank. The front office had even spoken with him about minutes 10 days before the injury, but the plan stayed the same. Play him heavy and hope he made it through. He didn't. That torn Achilles was a turning point. The decline that followed wasn't random. It was the result of an exhausting season that pushed him too far. The Lakers got a playoff spot, but they lost their star, DeMarcus Cousins. On February 20th, 2017, he was traded by the Kings to the Pelicans during All-Star Weekend. The deal sent Cousins and Omri Caspi to New Orleans in exchange for Buddy Hield, Tyreek Evans, Langston Galloway, a first-round pick, and a second-round pick. That trade came just as Cousins was representing Sacramento in his third straight All-Star game. He said he'd been told a week earlier by Kings management that he wouldn't be traded right before the All-Star break. The team's owner even texted him asking for input on a possible roster move. No heads up, no direct conversation, just sudden, confusing silence, followed by headline. Cousins later said he heard rumors before the game and got pulled aside immediately after by his PR rep, who told him serious trade talks were happening. One clip even shows him sitting down for a press conference when the deal became public. What stung most wasn't just the trade, it was how it went down. He described the team's handling as dishonest and cowardly. He loved the city, but said there was no way forward with ownership after that. His biggest regret? Not leaving sooner when he had the chance. He said he stayed out of loyalty and trying to make it work. Sacramento's return haul was underwhelming compared to Cousins' value at the time. He was eligible for a major contract extension, but once signed, that would have locked him in under new league rules. So they traded him first, the face of the franchise, blindsided during a league-wide event with the cameras rolling. That wasn't just business, it was a team turning its back at the worst possible time. Mohamed Abdul-Rauf, drafted 3rd overall in 1990 by Denver, he quickly became one of the league's most dynamic scorers. In 1993, he was named Most Improved Player. By the mid-90s, he was leading the Nuggets in points and assists, and then everything shifted. During the 1995-96 season, he began sitting during the national anthem. His reasoning? He believed the flag symbolized oppression and said his faith didn't allow him to honor it. The league suspended him on March 12th for 1 game, citing its policy requiring players to stand in a dignified posture. That suspension cost him over $31,000. Soon after, a compromise was reached. He agreed to stand but could bow his head and pray silently. Even with the resolution, the media backlash was loud and relentless. He finished the season averaging nearly 20 points and almost 7 assists per game, still the top contributor on the roster. It didn't matter. At season's end, the Nuggets traded him to Sacramento. His role there shrank, his minutes dipped, and his impact faded fast. Despite being in his prime, his NBA career never really recovered. He played 2 more seasons, then disappeared from the league entirely. He did return briefly in 2001, logging a small role with Vancouver, but the damage was done. He later said he lost millions because of that protest. Not because of what he said, but because of how the league and teams reacted afterward. From centerpiece to afterthought, his career pivoted, not on performance, but on principle. And the fallout made sure he never got back what he once had. Jordan Poole, drafted 28th overall in 2019, he became a key piece in Golden State's title run in 2022. He averaged nearly 19 points per game that season and signed a big contract extension shortly after. At that point, he looked like part of the franchise's long-term future. Then came October 5th, 2022. During a Warriors practice, Draymond green punched Poole in the face. The video leaked 2 days later, sparking massive backlash. Green apologized, got fined, but wasn't suspended. That raised eyebrows. Team chemistry shattered. Even coach Steve Kerr said the incident hurt their title chances. Poole kept playing, but something had clearly changed. His role felt different, his touches dipped, and trust inside the locker room was questioned. Less than a year later, on July 6th, 2023, Golden State traded him, along with 3 other players and draft picks. Poole was sent to the Washington Wizards. In return, the Warriors got veteran guard Chris Paul. Poole went from being part of a young, rising core to being packaged out of town, all within 2 seasons of helping win a championship. The punch didn't just bruise him, it shifted how the organization saw him, and they moved on fast. The trade wasn't just about contracts or age gaps. It came after a public incident involving a teammate and a lack of serious consequences for that teammate. That says something. From Poole's side, it's hard not to see this as being sidelined by the very team he helped bring back to the top. He earned a ring, then took a hit, then packed his bags. Dion Waiters, drafted 4th overall in 2012 by Cleveland, he spent over 2 full seasons with the Cavaliers. Then came January 5th, 2015. In his hometown of Philadelphia, with his family sitting front row, Waiters was warming up to play against the Sixers. But just before tip-off, during the national anthem, according to teammate Brendan Haywood, Waiters was pulled from the lineup. Less than 2 minutes before game time, news broke that Cleveland had traded him. No moment to say goodbye. No heads up to his family. Just gone. The trade was part of a 3-team deal. Waiters, along with Lou Amundsen and Alex Kirk, went to Oklahoma City. In return, Cleveland received Iman Shumpert and J.R. Smith from the Knicks. For the Cavaliers, this was a roster shift aiming toward future playoff runs. For Waiters, it was a blindsiding moment, delivered without ceremony. That night was supposed to be meaningful. Hometown, familiar arena, his people in the crowd. Instead, he found out he was no longer a Cavalier while standing on the court. It doesn't get much colder than that. Waiters had been seen as part of Cleveland's rebuild since 2012, but when priorities changed, the decision came fast, and it came mid-anthem. After the trade, his role with Oklahoma City was more limited, and his NBA path became less steady, including short stints with other teams. From Cleveland's angle, it was a business move. From Waiters' view, it looked like he'd been cast off with zero notice in front of his own community. That trade didn't just move him, it told him exactly where he stood. Kwame Brown, drafted first overall in 2001 by the Washington Wizards. He became the first player ever taken number 1, straight out of high school. That pick was made by none other than Michael Jordan, who was running the Wizards front office at the time. Expectations? Through the roof. Support system? That's where things get messy. At just 19, Brown entered a league full of veterans under the microscope of one of the most intense competitors in basketball history. His rookie season saw him average about 4 points and 3 rebounds per game. Not exactly what fans or the franchise had in mind for a top pick. Behind the scenes, things weren't smooth either. Reports emerged that Jordan would regularly berate Brown during practice, calling him out harshly and sometimes in front of the entire team. Brown has since denied the most extreme rumors, like being brought to tears or being insulted with slurs, but acknowledged that things were rough and the environment wasn't ideal for growth. His performance slightly improved in year 2, but the label of bust stuck early. The Wizards went 37-45 that year, better than before, but nowhere near good. Over his 12-year NBA career, Brown averaged just over 6 points and 5 rebounds. The franchise took a teenager and dropped him into an adult business run by a living legend, then seemed surprised when it didn't work out. The pick, the pressure, and the internal treatment built the spotlight so hot it burned away development. Brown didn't just struggle, he was set up to. And the team that picked him first never gave him a real shot to grow into that role. Markelle Fultz, drafted first overall by Philadelphia in 2017, he was supposed to be the final piece of a young core with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. But right away, things went sideways. Fultz began experiencing pain in his shooting shoulder during preseason. The team called it soreness. Then it became a scapular muscle imbalance. Later, a cortisone shot. Nothing about it sounded reassuring. His shooting numbers dropped. He stopped attempting threes. By his 4th game, he was averaging just 6 points, and his form looked broken. That's when fans noticed the hitch. Turns out, Fultz wasn't just out of rhythm. He was battling an undiagnosed nerve issue. It took until December the next season to get a full answer: thoracic outlet syndrome. A nerve compression issue in his neck and shoulder was interfering with basic mechanics. He even said he'd lose feeling in his hand mid-jumper. He kept playing through it at first, not knowing what was wrong. His coach said he thought it was just a tweak in form. It wasn't. Fultz's shooting form didn't collapse on its own. It changed because he was in pain and couldn't feel the ball properly. He tried adjusting on the fly, and it backfired in front of the entire league. Publicly, it looked like he had the yips. Internally, the diagnosis took too long. That delay, combined with how little the team clarified things publicly, let the narrative spiral. By the time the truth came out, his image had already taken the hit. A number 1 pick turned into a cautionary tale, not because of talent, but because of how the injury and the player were handled. Mikal Bridges, born in Philadelphia, raised just outside the city, and a 2-time NCAA champion. At Villanova, he was drafted 10th overall by the Sixers in the 2018 NBA draft. It was a feel-good story. Hometown kid stays home. His mom, Tinaya Rivers, worked in the team's front office. The cameras caught her beaming. The moment felt perfect, until it wasn't. Minutes after the pick, the Sixers traded Bridges to the Phoenix Suns. In return, they got Jair Smith and a future first-round pick. That was it. The trade happened so fast, even Bridges was still doing interviews about staying in Philly when the news broke. He later said he was pissed off, and you get why. His mom worked there. She walked him into the arena. Then her own team flipped him. The front office said it was about value. Smith, plus a future pick, was a better asset pack. From a roster-building angle maybe, but the way it played out, no heads up, no moment to process. Just a swift reversal of what should have been a dream night. Bridges headed to Phoenix and built a strong career, but the trade from his hometown team, where his family had personal ties, never sat right. It wasn't about performance or locker room issue. It wasn't external. The move came from inside the house. He got drafted by a team that made a public celebration of it, then sent him away before he could put on the jersey. No injury, no scandal, just a decision made behind closed doors that cut short the moment before it ever got started. Julius Randle, taken 7th overall by the Lakers in 2014, he was expected to be a foundational piece of their rebuild. 14 minutes into his NBA debut, he broke his right leg. That was his entire rookie season, gone before it started. When he returned the next year, the team kept him on a strict minute cap, even during summer league. 5-minute stretches, 20-minute limits, development stalled. By the 2017-18 season, he'd improved. He was healthy, productive, and vocal about wanting to stay. But the Lakers never gave him that chance. They declined to extend his rookie deal. They kept cap space clear to chase free agents instead. Randle knew what that meant. He later said he felt like I had no choice but to separate, after realizing he wasn't part of their long-term vision. On June 3rd, 2018, reports confirmed what Randle already knew. The Lakers wanted stars. He wasn't one, at least not to them. Even though he'd battled back from injury, adjusted to reduced minutes, and built up his role, the front office had moved on. The organization never committed. They drafted him, managed his return cautiously, then walked away before seeing what he could become. There were no major off-court issues, no drama, just a lack of investment in their own pick. Randle went on to revive his career elsewhere, but in Los Angeles, his development arc was interrupted by injuries and squeezed by roster priorities. Drafted high, played hard, then pushed aside for something bigger. That's how his Lakers chapter closed, not with failure, but with a front office choosing not to wait. Tyreke Evans, drafted 4th overall in 2009 by Sacramento, he burst onto the scene, averaging over 20 points, 5 rebounds, and nearly 6 assists per game. That made him just the 4th rookie in league history to hit those marks, joining Oscar Robertson, Michael Jordan, and LeBron James. He won Rookie of the Year in 2010 and looked like the Kings' future. But after that first season, things got messy. Evans began as the team's lead ball handler, where he thrived. Then came the position changes. He was shifted to small forward, then over to shooting guard. Some reports said there wasn't a perfect role for him. Others said he was best with the ball in his hand. Either way, the constant changes never gave him a clear identity on the floor. The Kings didn't help matters. That era was full of coaching turnover and front office instability. Articles at the time pointed out that the franchise lacked consistency and struggled to support player development. Evans' numbers stayed solid, but the system around him didn't. He was never given the same defined role he had as a rookie. Instead of building on his rookie year, the team tinkered. They moved him around, adjusted his usage, and failed to lock in a clear plan. From cornerstone to question mark, his time in Sacramento didn't fall apart because of one moment. It was death by drift. No firm role, no long-term plan, and a franchise couldn't get out of its own way. That's how a Rookie of the Year became another case of what could have been. Kemba Walker, drafted 9th overall in 2011 by the Charlotte Bobcats, later renamed the Hornets, he quickly became the face of the franchise. In October 2014, he signed a 4-year, $48 million extension, a deal that turned out to be a major bargain for Charlotte, given his production. By 2017, 2018, and 2019, he was an all-star. In his 8th and final season with Charlotte, he made the All-NBA third team, making him eligible for a supermax contract worth up to $221 million over 5 years. But Charlotte didn't offer that. Reports say they came in nearly $60 million short, at just under $160 million. Walker had publicly said he'd be willing to take less to stay, but Charlotte's offer was far below even that. On July 6, 2019, he left via sign and trade to Boston, landing a 4-year deal worth about $141 million. It wasn't just the money, it was the message. During Walker's time in Charlotte, the team made the playoffs twice. That's it. 8 seasons, 2 playoff appearances, 0 second-round trips. The front office explored trading him during the 2017-18 season, and it became clear they were never fully building around him. Poor roster construction, bad contracts, and limited upgrades meant Walker was often carrying the load with little help. He became the franchise's all-time leading scorer and still wasn't prioritized when it mattered most. Charlotte had a star, but they let him walk for almost nothing. Not because he couldn't perform, but because they couldn't decide if he was worth building around. Walt Frazier, the Knicks floor general, 2-time champion, 7-time All-Star, and the face of a golden era in New York basketball. He was drafted 5th overall in 1967, led the Knicks through their 2 NBA titles, and played a full decade with the franchise. But in 1977, everything changed. That summer, the the Knicks signed Jim Clemens as a free agent, and as compensation under the NBA's rules at the time, they traded Frazier to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Just like that, the most iconic Knick of his era was out. The team had just named his former teammate, Willis Reed, as head coach. A new era was beginning, one focused on youth. Clemens was 28, Frazier was 32. The trade came not at the end of a long goodbye, but suddenly. No farewell tour, no jersey retirement, just a swap. Frazier later said being traded to Cleveland felt like being sent to Siberia. He was blindsided. Under Reed's watch, the Knicks moved on from their greatest star without ceremony. 10 years of service, championships, leadership, all exchanged for a role player. As the team looked for a reset, it wasn't an injury, it wasn't a scandal. It was the organization making a choice. And Frazier, the franchise's anchor, was the one they let go. James Harden, drafted 3rd overall in 2009 by the Oklahoma City Thunder. For 3 seasons, he played behind Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, not as a starter, but as the 6th man. Even in the year he won 6th Man of the Year, averaging 16.8 points per game, shooting nearly 50% from the floor, Harden started just 2 games the entire season. That same year, the Thunder made the NBA Final. Harden was 22 years old. He had just proven he could produce on the league's biggest stage, but the Thunder didn't see him as a long-term cornerstone. They offered him a 4-year extension, around $52 million, short of the maximum he was eligible for. He didn't agree. 2 days before the season opener in 2012, Oklahoma City traded him to the Houston Rockets. And that's where everything changed. In his very first season with Houston, Harden averaged nearly 26 points per game, became the team's franchise player, and never looked back. All-star selections, all NBA teams, and MVP. The Thunder had 3 future MVPs on one team, Durant, Westbrook, and Harden, and chose to let one go. Rather than pay the luxury tax, they kept him on the bench. Houston built a system around him. The moment Harden left Oklahoma City, the league saw who he really was. Brandon Roy, the 6th overall pick in the 2006 NBA Draft. Rookie of the Year, 3-time All-Star, one of the most gifted guards of his generation, and one of the most tragic what-ifs in modern basketball history. Roy hit the ground running in Portland. In his very first season, he averaged over 16 points per game and was nearly a unanimous Rookie of the Year. In the years that followed, he became the face of the Trailblazers. By age 25, he was an all-NBA talent and the unquestioned leader of a rising franchise. But behind the highlight reels, Roy's knees were deteriorating fast. He was playing through injuries from early on, an impingement here, a tear there. But the team kept leaning on him. Heavy minutes, major usage, star responsibilities. By the 2009-10 season, Roy was already dealing with meniscus damage. In April 2010, he underwent surgery on his right knee and returned just 8 days later to play in the postseason. A remarkable comeback, but a costly one. The following year, doctors discovered there was no cartilage left in either knee, bone on bone. In January 2011, he underwent arthroscopic surgery on both knees. Less than a year later, he retired at the age of 27, citing a degenerative knee condition. Roy's decline wasn't due to one freak injury. It was cumulative, progressive, and arguably accelerated by a team that needed him to carry too much too soon without enough long-term caution. In just 5 seasons, Roy went from Rookie of the Year to out of the league. Not because he lacked talent, but because his body broke down, and the way his knees were managed along the way, that may have broken him faster than they had to. Jeremy Lin, he wasn't drafted, bounced between teams, and then out of nowhere, exploded in New York. The Knicks picked him up in December of 2011, and by February, he was dropping over 20 points and 9 assists per game. That stretch flipped their season and turned him into a global name. The hype was real, the numbers backed it up, and the momentum was massive. Fans were all in. Then came the offseason. Lin became a restricted free agent, and the Knicks said they'd match any offer. That was the plan, until it wasn't. Houston offered him a 3-year deal worth around $25 million. New York had matching rights and didn't use them. That was the choice. Lin didn't even get a contract offer from them before that. Zero effort to keep the guy who basically saved their season. To make it easier for New York, Lin asked Houston to drop the price. They actually did, but when the final version had a big 3rd-year payout, the Knicks bailed. They claimed it was about the luxury tax. Meanwhile, they were chasing other guards like Raymond Felton. Just a few weeks after the madness of Linsanity, they were already done with him. Lin later said there were multiple people inside the organization who were against bringing him back. That's not just about money, that's internal politics. Whatever the reason, New York let a cultural phenomenon walk. Lin, never hit that same level again, and the Knicks lost a player who'd earned his shot. Kevin Love, drafted in 2008 by Minnesota, he came in and immediately started stacking numbers like a stat sheet villain. By the 2010 season, he was casually dropping 31 points and 31 rebounds in a single night. He didn't just earn All-Star nods, he grabbed Most Improved Player, All-NBA selections, and put up production that looked straight out of a video game. But while Love was going off, the Timberwolves were going nowhere. Year after year, they missed the playoff. In 2013, they finished 31-51, and that was somehow an improvement. The roster around Love, inconsistent, constant coaching changes, confusing front office decisions, and a rotating cast of players who were either too young or not quite good enough. They cycled through head coaches like it was a hobby. Randy Whitman, Kevin McHale, Kurt Rambis. It was chaos. Even in his best season, when he was averaging monster numbers, the Wolves only managed 17 wins. That disconnect was brutal. Love wanted to win. He said it publicly. But the team just never got close. No real structure. No reliable second option. Just a guy carrying way too much on his back. Eventually, it was too much. In 2014, Minnesota traded him to Cleveland for Andrew Wiggins, Anthony Bennett, and future picks. And just like that, his time in the Twin Cities ended. The guy gave them everything, and the franchise gave him, well, not a whole lot back. It's a textbook case of a star stuck in a rebuild that never actually built anything. They didn't maximize his prime. They just watched it go by. DeMar, drafted 9th overall in 2009, he poured nearly a decade into the Raptors. He climbed the record books, became their all-time leading scorer, and carried the franchise through years of rebuilding and retooling. He was loyal, consistent, and just kept showing up. The guy even dropped 52 points in a game months before they shipped him out. Then came July of 2018. Without much warning, the Raptors traded DeMar to the Spurs, along with Jakob Poeltl and a protected first-round pick. In return, they got Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green. The problem? Leonard had a lingering quadriceps injury and was reportedly not thrilled about heading to Toronto. Plus, he only had 1 year left on his deal. That's the gamble they made. In exchange for their most loyal player, they brought in a star who might not even want to be there. The move paid off in trophies. Toronto won their first championship the next season. But for DeMar, it was brutal. He just sat down with the team president in Las Vegas days before the trade. Thought he was staying. No hint of what was coming. That stings. He didn't ask out. He didn't fade. He just wasn't part of their vision anymore. While the Raptors celebrated a title, DeMar had to start over in San Antonio. Different system, different role. He didn't lose his talent. He lost the team he gave everything to. And that's the part that fits. They used his value, then dumped him when the shiny new piece came along. That's not support. That's strategy without sentiment. LeBron James. Over the years, a few franchises stood in the way of his dominance, and they didn't just beat him once. The San Antonio Spurs crushed LeBron's Cleveland run in a 4-game sweep back in 2007, then smacked down the Miami Heat in 5 games during 2014. With a finals record of 5 wins and 11 losses against San Antonio, it was clear their elite passing, deep experience, and lockdown defense disrupted his rhythm every time. Then came the Golden State Warriors. They didn't just win, they kept doing it. In 2015, they won in 6. In 2017, they finished it in 5. And in 2018, a clean 4-game sweep. Golden State's insane spacing, 3-point shooting, and that little addition named Kevin Durant buried LeBron's chances repeatedly. He went 7-15 against them in finals game. Dallas had its moment too. In 2011, Dirk and company outshot and outsmarted LeBron's Heat in 6 games, relying on killer pick-and-roll sets and punishing off-ball movement. Even in the regular season, Denver quietly became a problem, handing him more losses than wins. Then Minnesota sent him home early in 2025, ending the Lakers' playoff hopes in round 1. Consistent depth, floor spacing, and coaching schemes have repeatedly cracked the LeBron code. Michael Jordan, the Detroit Pistons, gave him real problems. From 1988 to 1990, they knocked his Bulls out of the playoffs 3 straight years. The Jordan rules were brutal. Double teams, hard fouls, and smart rotations forced him into tough shots and constant fatigue. Isaiah Thomas led a rugged group that used physicality and deep rosters to drag every series into a fight. Jordan eventually broke through in 1991, but not before going 10-12 in playoff games against them. The Boston Celtics got to him early too. In 1986, Bird and McHale led a sweep, winning 3 straight. Jordan scored a ridiculous 63 in one game, but that wasn't enough. The Celtics played smarter, shared the ball better, and used veteran experience to keep Chicago off balance. The Bulls weren't ready, and Boston made sure they knew it. Even the Milwaukee Bucks handed Jordan issues. He went 4-4 against them in playoff games, one of the few teams with a balanced postseason record against him. Not a powerhouse, but not an easy out either. Cleveland had moments too. He still won 14 out of 20, but those games were tight and physical. The Knicks pushed him hard with size and intensity. Utah, in 2 straight finals, forced 6 games each time. Jordan's greatness was real, but so were the teams that exposed gaps before he closed them. Steph Curry, one of the greatest shooters in NBA history, but even he hasn't dodged defeat. The Cleveland Cavaliers, led by LeBron James, were the first to deliver a major blow. In 2016, after being up 3-1 in the finals, Golden State lost 3 straight and watched Cleveland snatch the championship. That loss remains one of the most painful collapses in league history. The Toronto Raptors followed in 2019. With Kevin Durant injured and Klay Thompson going down mid-series, the Warriors fell in 6 games. Toronto's physical defense, Kawhi Leonard's consistency, and their control of the pace proved too much. Curry averaged over 30 points, but the supporting cast couldn't keep up. The Los Angeles Lakers added to the list in 2021, knocking the Warriors out in the play-in game. Curry dropped 37, but the Lakers clamped down late and ended their postseason hopes. Then came 2023. The Lakers again stood in the way, this time eliminating Golden State in the second round. Curry struggled with double teams, and the Lakers' size created problems across the board. That series showed how much the Warriors rely on spacing and rhythm, and how quickly it can break under relentless pressure. Even all-time greats run into smarter game plans, mismatched rosters, and fatigue. For Curry, it's never about one bad night. It's about those rare times when great teams locked in, played disciplined defense, and didn't let him breathe. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Kevin Durant, the Miami Heat were first to strike in a major way. In 2012, Durant's Thunder lost the finals in 5 games. Miami's defense forced tough looks, and their big 3 overpowered Oklahoma City's younger core. It was Durant's first finals and a sharp learning curve. Then came the Memphis Grizzlies, physical, patient, and defensively relentless. They gave Durant all kinds of problems. Across playoff matchups, he went 9-10 against them, one of the only teams with a winning postseason record over him. Their ability to control tempo and keep games in the half court hurt his rhythm every time. Golden State delivered the most crushing loss before he joined them. In 2016, Durant's Thunder led the Warriors 3-1 in the Western Conference Final and still lost 4 straight defeats. Capped by Golden State's pace, shooting, and defensive switches, ended Oklahoma City's run and changed the league forever. Fast forward to Brooklyn in 2021. Durant played brilliantly, but Milwaukee's defense and depth won the 7-game series. Then in 2019, as a Warrior, he fell to the Raptors in the finals, a rare finals loss for him. Durant's playoff elimination game record, 6 wins and 10 losses. In those do-or-die moments, he's been more often out than in. Whether it was Miami's aggression, Memphis grit, or Golden State's system, the trend's clear. Durant's faced elite defensive teams that knew how to wear him down. Kobe Bryant. The San Antonio Spurs were the team that beat him more than any other. Their disciplined schemes and veteran depth made Kobe work for every shot, with Tim Duncan anchoring the paint and guys like Ginobili and Parker applying constant pressure. The Lakers were repeatedly outmaneuvered in key series. It's the only long-term matchup where Kobe finished with more losses than wins. Then in 2011, Dallas delivered a shock. The Mavericks swept the Lakers in 4 straight games in the second round. Dirk Nowitzki was on fire, but it was their ball movement and spacing that really shut things down. Kobe couldn't get into rhythm, and the Lakers had no answer. Phoenix, huge problem in the mid-2000s. The Suns knocked out the Lakers in back-to-back first rounds in 2006 and 2007. Steve Nash ran the floor like a machine, and their quick tempo exposed LA's slower half-court tendencies. Kobe's scoring wasn't enough when his team couldn't match pace or rotation. The Pistons shut everything down in 2004. That finals loss wasn't even close. Detroit's defense, led by Ben Wallace and Tayshaun Prince, collapsed on Kobe and suffocated LA's offense. He had no breathing room. Then in 2008, Boston's defense overwhelmed him in the finals. Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and company rotated perfectly, walled off drives, and made every possession a grind. Kobe eventually got revenge, but that first Celtics series showed exactly how elite defenses could lock him down. Larry Bird. The Detroit Pistons were the biggest challenge he faced in the East. By 1988, the rivalry peaked when Detroit knocked Boston out in the Eastern Conference Finals, winning 4-2. That loss was more than just a series. It marked a real shift in power. The Pistons' tough defense, led by Isaiah Thomas and Dennis Rodman, wore Boston down. It was physical, calculated, and effective. Bird's Celtics had a 12-12 playoff record against the Pistons, completely even. That tells the story right there. These weren't blowouts or flukes. They were battles, and Detroit found ways to exploit Boston's aging core and limit offensive flow. Earlier exits hurt too. In 1982, Boston lost in the playoffs without reaching the finals. Then in 1983, they won only 2 games before getting bounced, clearly falling short of expectations. Those years didn't get as much attention as the finals runs, but they mattered. They showed that roster issues, fatigue, or matchup problems could knock out even elite teams early. And while he never lost a playoff series to Michael Jordan, that doesn't erase the fact that Bird's Celtics racked up 65 playoff losses across 12 postseason runs. Not every year ended in glory. When Bird's teams lost, it was usually because they ran into smart physical defenses or failed to adjust. Detroit just did both, and even in years without a clear rival, Boston's depth and durability weren't always enough to close out. Magic Johnson. The first major blow came in 1983. His Lakers were swept in the finals by the Philadelphia 76ers, 4-0. That series wasn't close. Julius Erving, Moses Malone, and Philly's defense completely stalled Showtime. The Lakers couldn't run. Magic couldn't create freely. Every possession felt like it was sinking in quicksand. Then came the Boston Celtics. In 1984, the finals went to 7 games, but Boston closed the door. Larry Bird, Dennis Johnson, and Kevin McHale disrupted LA's pace and made the Lakers grind. It was one of Magic's most competitive losses, but a loss all the same. Houston wasn't as flashy, but they were a problem. In 1981, the Rockets took out Magic's Lakers in the first round. In 1986, they did it, again in the conference finals. Hakeem and Ralph Sampson created matchup nightmare, bigs who could score and protect the rim. Bad news for Showtime. Then came the Pistons. In 1989, Detroit swept the Lakers in the finals. The bad boys threw bodies at Magic and shut down the fast break with pure physicality. There was no room to run. In 1990, the Phoenix Suns knocked out the Lakers in the second round. Then, in 1991, Michael Jordan's Bulls ended Magic's finals career with a 5-game series win. Jordan took over late, and Chicago's defense closed every window. Magic lost 9 finals games to Boston, Philadelphia, and Chicago. He won 5 titles, but those defeats, they were earned. Nikola Jokic, despite all the brilliance, his playoff record has clear patterns of defeat. In 2020, the Lakers beat the Nuggets 4-1. LeBron and Anthony Davis pushed Denver off the floor with size, transition scoring, and tight defense. That series exposed the limits of Denver's defense and Jokic's support cast. Then in 2021, Phoenix swept them, 4 straight losses. The Suns blitzed Denver with spacing, quick ball movement, and Chris Paul pick and rolls. Denver couldn't match up on the perimeter or protect the paint. Golden State did the same thing in 2022, another series loss, 4-1. Their switching and shooting punished every slow rotation. Jokic put up big numbers, but the rest of the team crumbled. In 2019, Portland beat Denver in 7. That series showed how elite guard play and shot making could tilt a tight matchup. Denver had home court, but couldn't close. By 2024, Minnesota knocked them out in 7. Big, athletic, and organized. Minnesota limited Jokic's touches and forced others to beat them. Then in 2025, Oklahoma City repeated the formula. 4-3 series win for the Thunder. Jokic had 40-point games, but it didn't matter. He's lost 6 playoff series, mostly to teams with elite defense, deep rotations, or both. Even when Jokic dominates, those losses underline the fact that MVP play doesn't guarantee series wins, especially when facing long, switch-heavy rosters that make everything harder. Tim Duncan. For all the winning, there were cracks in the wall. The Los Angeles Lakers were the one team that beat him more than he beat them. In playoff matchups, the Spurs had 16 wins and 18 losses. Kobe and Shaq created problems no Spurs scheme could patch. The Lakers' spacing and elite wing scoring forced San Antonio's slower rotations to collapse. In 2000, the Spurs were the defending champs until Duncan's knee gave out. He missed the playoffs, and Phoenix sent them packing in round 1. The Suns stole that series, handing San Antonio a rare first-round exit. Without Duncan, the whole system fell apart. Then came Memphis in 2011, an 8 seed. They stunned San Antonio in 6 games. The Grizzlies hadn't even won a playoff series before that, but they bullied the Spurs with defense and rebound and closed them out. Detroit didn't win a full series against Duncan, but they were always a grind. Big bodies inside, slow it down play, and enough defense to make every game uncomfortable. Duncan had to work for every bucket when they met. Those losses weren't flukes. They came from elite wings, dominant front courts, or just sheer attrition. Out of 48 playoff series, Duncan only lost 13. But the ones he did lose, they came when spacing collapsed, when injuries hit, or when someone else imposed their will harder than the Spurs could resist. Wilt Chamberlain. As unstoppable as he seemed, the Boston Celtics were his recurring brick wall. In 1964, Wilt reached the finals with the Warriors, only to lose 4 games to 1 to Boston. Then came 1968, a brutal collapse. His 76ers had a 3-1 lead over Boston and lost the next 3. Then in 1969, now with the Lakers, and alongside Jerry West and Elgin Baylor, he lost to Boston again. That finals went 7 games. The Celtics were underdogs. They still won. The Celtics beat Chamberlain's teams in nearly every big moment. In 8 playoff matchups against Bill Russell, Wilt won only once. Russell's defensive positioning and team structure constantly absorbed Wilt's scoring and erased his support. But it wasn't just Boston. In the early 60s, Wilt's Warriors were bounced early by teams like the St. Louis Hawks. These weren't title-contending losses, but they kept him from reaching the big stage. Even when he had super teams, like the Lakers in 1969, his team couldn't seal the deal. That loss, against an aging Celtics squad, still defines part of his legacy. In elimination games, Wilt's record was 12-11, slightly above even. For a player that dominant, those margins mattered. His playoff record, 88 wins, 72 losses, shows success. But the defeats, they came when the pressure was highest, often with titles on the line, and with Boston across the floor. Giannis, the Toronto Raptors, were the first real wall. In 2017, they beat the Bucks in 6. Then in 2019, they knocked Milwaukee out again. This time, in the Eastern Conference Finals, after the Bucks took a 2-0 lead. Kawhi Leonard slowed down Giannis with tight one-on-one defense, while Toronto's help defenders packed the paint and forced outside shots. The Raptors closed the series in 6. Then came Boston. In 2018, the Celtics beat Milwaukee in 7. Their switchable defense and deep scoring options forced Giannis into tough angles and made the Bucks' offense predictable. It wasn't the last time Boston would give Milwaukee problems. Miami? That was a different level of disruption. In 2020, the Heat eliminated the top-seeded Bucks in 5. Then, in 2023, they did it again, this time as an 8 seed. Jimmy Butler dominated late-game situations while Bam Adebayo contained the interior. Milwaukee had no answers in crunch time. In 2025, the Indiana Pacers delivered a first-round knockout. Tyrese Halliburton's game-winning layup in overtime ended the series. Damian Lillard's injury during the series left Giannis without offensive backup, and Milwaukee couldn't recover. He's now lost 8 of 16 playoff series. Most of those defeats came from teams with elite defense, smart help rotations, or clutch scorers who could close games. Giannis dominates most matchups. But when his team can't shoot, can't stay healthy, or can't match poise, even his stat lines aren't enough. Shaq, one of the most dominant forces ever, but even he racked up some painful defeats. The first major one, Houston crushed Orlando in the 1995 finals. Shaq held his own, but Hakeem took over and swept them 4-0. That loss stuck for years. Then came Indiana, early in his Magic days. Their gritty defense and sharp execution kept him in check, even when he was putting up huge stats. It didn't always lead to a series loss, but they were constant roadblocks. Later, the San Antonio Spurs proved to be a real thorn. Shaq's playoff battles with them ended dead even, 15-15. That means they beat him just as often, no matter how big his numbers were. In 2004, Detroit shut down the Lakers stars and took the finals, 4-1. That one stung. The Pistons relied on team play and defense, not superstars. Then the Suns cooked the Lakers in 2008. By then, Shaq was older, and the firepower just wasn't there. Miami's first-round exit in 2007 was another sweep, a reminder that time waits for no center. Across his career, Shaq got swept around 6 times, early and late. Strong team systems, elite defense, and aging legs caught up. Even legends aren't immune to tough exits. Kareem. Even with 20 seasons and 6 titles, the losses told their own story. The Philadelphia 76ers were a major thorn, piling up 9 playoff wins against him. Their physical defense and balanced rosters made them a problem from his Bucks days to his final runs with the Lakers. The New York Knicks gave him trouble too. 4 playoff wins came from smart schemes and strong interior play, especially in those early 70s Eastern battles. Then there were the Golden State Warriors, who notched 10 playoff wins. Even when Kareem's teams advanced, Golden State's tempo and spacing often disrupted his rhythm and forced tough possessions. Before joining them, the Lakers had already beaten Kareem's Bucks 6 times in the playoffs. They packed the paint and doubled him hard. And the Boston Celtics took down his Bucks in the 1974 finals. That series went 7 games, and Boston's depth and half-court execution made the difference. Then in the 80s, the Celtics and Sixers both beat Kareem-led Lakers squads in the finals. These teams succeeded with smart passing, front court depth, and constant pressure. The pattern stayed the same. Deep, balanced teams with size up front and playoff experience chipped away at Kareem's dominance. Some slowed him with double teams. Some ran the floor to exhaust him. Others just played smarter. No matter how legendary the numbers, those playoff defeats made sure Kareem's path to greatness was anything but easy. Bill Russell, the man, won 11 titles, but there were still moments when even his Celtics came up short. The most glaring, 1958. The St. Louis Hawks beat Boston 4 games to 2 in the finals. Bob Pettit lit them up, and that loss stands as the only time Russell lost in the championship round. That series was rare because almost every year, Boston walked away with the trophy. Then came 1967. The Celtics were knocked out before the finals by the Philadelphia 76ers, led by Wilt Chamberlain. That loss was a big deal. It was one of only 2 seasons where Russell didn't make the finals, and the only one during his prime when a Chamberlain-led team actually got the better of Boston. Now, he still lost 25 total finals games. So even in years where the Celtics won the title, there were battles. Nobody swept through him, not once. That's what makes it even more impressive. Through 165 playoff games, his teams were never swept, ever. And sure, Wilt grabbed headlines with monster numbers, but there were playoff runs where his teams beat Russell. The difference was, Russell's squads usually had the defense, the chemistry, and the clutch execution. But in those rare moments, like against the Hawks or the 67 Sixers, even Bill Russell's Celtics got outmatched. Those defeats were few, but they showed his dominance wasn't untouchable. Dirk Nowitzki. For all the greatness, there were plenty of playoff defeats. The worst, 2007. Dallas had the best record, Dirk was MVP. And still, the 8th seed Warriors knocked them out in 6 games. That loss rewrote expectations. Then there were the Spurs. San Antonio eliminated Dirk's Mavericks more than once, starting back in 2001 and again in 2014. Tim Duncan and that disciplined defense gave Dirk fits, especially in the paint. Before his redemption, the 2006 finals ended in heartbreak. Miami took the title in 6, with D. Wade torching Dallas in crunch time. That series flipped momentum hard. It didn't stop there. Between 2003 and 2015, the Mavericks had a string of early exits. First rounds, second rounds, didn't matter. 1 year after the title, they got the swept. Some years, they just ran out of steam. Others, they collapsed under pressure. Quick guards, perimeter-heavy teams, and tight defensive matchups hurt Dirk's squad time after time. Golden State used pace to shred Dallas's slow rotations. The Spurs beat them with balance and experience. Even after strong regular seasons, the Mavs couldn't always deliver. Dirk lost 76 playoff games and dropped 14 series. One championship defined his legacy, but those defeats shaped the story. His playoff resume was filled with peaks, but just as many valleys. Oscar Robertson. For all the numbers, the playoff defeats stacked up early and often. His Royals teams just couldn't break through, especially when running into Boston. The Celtics knocked Cincinnati out multiple times in the 60s, including a 7-game series in 1963. Even with Oscar posting near triple doubles, Boston's depth, defense, and experience sealed those outcomes. Later, with Milwaukee, he finally got a title in 1971. But 3 years later came his most painful loss, the 1974 final. That series against the Celtics went 7 games, and Boston took it. Kareem was dominant, but the Celtics' clutch play and tough schemes wore Milwaukee down. A late shot clock violation from Oscar in Game 6 turned into one of the series' biggest turning points. Before that, in Cincinnati, his playoff exits were constant. First-round losses in 1961, 62, and other years showed how far his teams were from title contention. Oscar did his part, but the Royals lacked the pieces to match up with powerhouse teams. In total, he went 46-40 in playoff games. That's a lot of close calls and short runs. The theme was always the same: Boston standing in the way or his own team falling short. The stats stayed elite. The trophies didn't. Even one of the game's most complete guards couldn't carry flawed rosters past the league's best. Kawhi Leonard, 2 rings, 2 finals MVPs. And still, teams have figured him out in big moments. The Oklahoma City Thunder handed him 10 playoff losses, more than any team. Between their star duos and relentless offense, they pulled apart defenses and exposed Kawhi's teams in tight series. Then there's Dallas. 12 wins, but 10 losses. Luka Doncic and that high-octane offense kept pushing Kawhi's defenses into rotation nightmares. Even when Kawhi delivered offensively, Dallas found ways to win playoff games across multiple years. Golden State hit him with 5 playoff losses, including the 2017 sweep when Kawhi got hurt. That injury changed the whole tone of that series, and the Warriors took advantage. Miami also notched 5 wins against him, mostly during the LeBron-Wade era, using physical defense and late-game execution to close games. Houston and Utah chipped in with a few defeats too. Smaller sample, but their pace and spacing gave Kawhi's squads trouble. Injuries didn't help either. He missed major games in 2017 and 2023. That's 2 separate playoff exits with Kawhi sidelined. Add in at least 11 elimination games across his career, and it's clear Kawhi's been tested. He's elite, no doubt, but Oklahoma City, Dallas, and Golden State have beaten him multiple times, and Miami made their mark too. In the playoffs, even top-tier defenders like Kawhi can get picked apart by schemes, health setbacks, or just stars who show up. Karl Malone. He played 19 seasons, won 98 playoff games, and still never got a ring. The Chicago Bulls were the wall he could never climb. In 1997, Malone's Jazz lost 4 games to 2 in the finals. A year later, same outcome, same opponent, same heartbreak. Michael Jordan and that Chicago dynasty stopped Malone twice at the doorstep with that Game 6 steal and jumper in 1998, basically slamming it shut. But it wasn't just the Bulls. The Western Conference had its share of heartbreak too. In the early 90s, teams like the Suns and Blazers bounced Utah before the finals even felt like a possibility. And in the late 80s, the Jazz were knocked out in round 1 again and again. It wasn't always Malone's fault. He'd put up big numbers, but the roster around him just couldn't keep up with deeper contenders. Then came 2004. Malone joined the Lakers for one last push. Shaq, Kobe, Peyton, Malone, the super team on paper. But Detroit had the defense and chemistry, and the Lakers fell 4 games to 1 in the finals. That was his last shot. 3 finals trips, 11 losses, no title. Malone's playoff record ended at 19 wins and 19 series losses. His greatness was never in question, but time and again, legendary opponents, team gaps, and brutal timing shut the door on his championship hopes. Kevin Garnett, 21 seasons, 1 title, and a long list of playoff exits. The Lakers were the biggest recurring nightmare. They knocked out his Timberwolves in 2003 and again in 2004, with stars like Shaq and Kobe Bryant outmatching Minnesota's top-heavy roster. Then came the Spurs. San Antonio sent Garnett home in the first round more than once. Their system, spacing, and defense exposed the Wolves' lack of depth. Dallas joined the party too. In the early 2000s, the Mavericks swept Minnesota with perimeter-heavy attacks that stretched Garnett's defense out of the paint. Later, it was Miami, with Boston and then Brooklyn. Garnett's squads lost to LeBron-led Heat teams in back-to-back seasons. And again, with the Nets. Miami's defense and shot-making buried him late in his career. The Timberwolves lost 5 first-round series in 6 years. Garnett played great, but his team couldn't keep up. The result? 17 playoff wins and 30 losses with Minnesota. That's brutal. In total, Garnett played in 26 playoff series and lost 13. He finished with 70 playoff wins and 73 losses. No matter how intense or skilled, Garnett's teams were constantly beaten by squads with more stars, better coaching, or deeper benches. The numbers don't lie. He was legendary, but the defeats stacked up, one tough series after another. James Harden, 16 straight playoff runs, and still, the losses have piled up in ways that define his legacy. The Warriors were his biggest nightmare. Golden State knocked Harden's teams out with a 7-16 record, including that brutal 4-3 loss in 2015 and another in 2019. Switching defenses, elite spacing, and Harden's ISO-heavy style didn't mix well when the lights got bright. Then there's the Lakers. 7 wins, but 9 losses, most notably in 2020, when the Rockets got bounced 4-1. Miami has also been a problem. Harden's record there? 3-8. Their physical defense and half-court control always gave his rhythm fits. Add Portland to the list too. They beat his Rockets in a 4-2 series where Damian Lillard hit the dagger. The elimination games say even more. Harden's teams are 10-16 when the season's on the line. That includes the loss to Milwaukee with Brooklyn in 2021 and Boston in Game 7 with Philly. Most recently, another Game 7 exit against the Nuggets with the Clippers. Through 31 series, Harden has lost more than he's won. Just one finals appearance with the Thunder in 2012 and never back since. His playoff defeats came from elite defenses, tight moments, and often his teams breaking down when it mattered most. The numbers aren't kind, and neither is the postseason. David Robinson, one of the greatest centers of all time, but the playoffs didn't always go his way. Before Tim Duncan arrived, Robinson's Spurs were bounced from the postseason again and again. The Phoenix Suns swept them 3-0 in 1992. That team ran the floor, spread the court, and made Robinson chase guards all series long. The Utah Jazz also had his number. In 1994, they took out San Antonio with Stockton and Malone running that relentless pick and roll. Then again in 1996, Utah won 4-2. Robinson's interior defense was elite, but the Jazz's spacing and execution constantly pulled him away from the rim. In 1995, it was the Rockets. Houston beat the Spurs 4-2 in the Western Conference Finals, and Hakeem outplayed Robinson in one of the most legendary big man battles ever. That one left a mark. Even earlier, Golden State stunned San Antonio in 1991, winning 3-1 in a huge first-round upset. And don't forget Portland in 1990. The Blazers took that series 4-3. Robinson played in 27 playoff series and lost 10 of them. That includes losses to nearly every top-tier Western team of the decade. His numbers stayed strong, but those early Spurs teams lacked the depth to survive long runs. Until Duncan arrived, the playoffs were a gauntlet. Robinson couldn't get through alone. Allen Iverson, one of the fiercest scorers the league's ever seen, but the playoff wall was always looming. His most iconic run? 2001. He dragged the Sixers to the finals, took Game 1 in LA, dropped 48, and stepped over Tyronn Lue. And then the Lakers won the next 4. Shaq, Kobe, and a loaded roster crushed that miracle ride. But that wasn't the first time. In 1999, Indiana swept Philly in the semifinal. Iverson's stats stayed up, but the Pacers' defense was too much. Then in 2002, Boston took out Philly in 5. Another year, another scoring title, and another early exit. Detroit didn't make it easier. In 2003, they beat Philly 4-2. 2 years later, same matchup, worse result, 4-1. That was peak Piston, swarming defense, unselfish ball, and no space for ISO-heavy attacks. After Philly, Iverson landed in Denver. In 2007, they lost 4-1 in round 1. In 2008, it got worse. The Lakers swept them. That was Iverson's final playoff series. He ended with 30 wins, 41 losses, 14 playoff series. Only 6 went his way. He always showed up, averaging nearly 30 in the postseason. But he faced deeper teams, sharper systems, and better balance. His legacy's carved in toughness and scoring, but the defeats came loud, clear, and often. Steve Nash. Despite being one of the most gifted passers to ever step on a court, Nash's playoff path was filled with brick walls, usually wearing black and silver. The San Antonio Spurs wrecked his teams over and over again, beating him 25 times while only losing 12. Every time Nash looked close to breaking through, the Spurs' defense and execution dragged his Suns back down. Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili did not care how flashy the Suns looked. They just won. Then came the Sacramento Kings, who held the edge in playoff wins against Nash's squads, grabbing 11 to his 6. Their fluid offense and tempo often dismantled Phoenix's rhythm, especially in those gritty early 2000s matchups. Seattle didn't show up often, but in Nash's younger years, they still found time to hand him 3 losses out of 4. Gary Payton and Shawn Kemp weren't playing around. Even the Mavericks, a team Nash actually played for, handed him several postseason exits. That 6-6 playoff record with Dallas includes some painful eliminations. And the Lakers, they took 8 games off him, often led by the nightmare duo of Kobe Bryant and Shaq. Across 23 playoff series, Nash's teams lost 12. His brilliance was clear, but those playoff exits piled up. Chris Paul, one of the smartest floor generals ever, but his postseason track record, brutal. Across 15 playoff runs, Paul's teams have lost more series than they've won. 12 wins, 15 losses. The San Antonio Spurs were the first to spoil the party. Back in 2008, Paul and the Hornets went up 2-0 before dropping the next 4 out of 5. A theme was born. Fast forward to 2013. The Clippers stormed to a 2-0 lead against Memphis, only to lose in 6. The pattern just wouldn't die. 2015 might be the worst of it. The Clippers were up 3-1 on Houston, 3-1. Then came a collapse so complete, people still bring it up when talking about blown leads. It didn't stop there. In 2016, Portland got them after another 2-0 Clippers lead. Even when Paul finally made the finals in 2021, the Bucks took 4 straight after Phoenix started strong. 1 year later, Dallas did the exact same thing. Phoenix up 2-0, then face-planted in Game 7. By then, Paul had set an NBA record, the first player to lose 5 different playoff series after going up 2-0. In elimination games, he's 6-12. That's twice as many exits as wins. 1 finals trip, no rings, and way too many "what happened" moments. Undersized, big. This archetype flips the traditional big man mold on its head. Instead of towering over opponents, these guys battle in the paint without the usual height or bulk you'd expect. Draymond Green's the poster child here. He's about 6'6" and has held down the center spot in closing lineups for years. He'll guard a guard, then box out a 7-footer on the next possession. He's not a scorer, but he makes the whole offense move. Isaiah Stewart brings a more physical style, though he's still shorter than most centers. He wins with pure energy, crashing the glass, diving for loose balls, and hustling every second. He's not towering over anyone, but he makes you feel every minute you're matched up with him. Dennis Rodman might have been the weirdest fit of them all. Listed at about 6'7", he still led the league in rebounding over and over. He did it by outworking everybody, tracking the ball, boxing out bigger players, and showing ridiculous timing. Ben Wallace was another standout. Not the tallest, not the heaviest, but he anchored defenses and won multiple Defensive Player awards. He blocked shots, rotated perfectly, and just outmuscled guys with better measurables. Then there's Montrezl Harrell, who doesn't protect the rim like a classic, big, but brings real offensive energy. He rolls hard, finishes strong, and does it while being shorter than everyone else. Non-shooting guard. In today's NBA, that label sticks out fast. It's weird because modern guards are expected to space the floor and drain shots from deep. When they don't, defenders sag off, daring them to shoot, and that throws a wrench in the entire offense. Yet somehow, this group carves out value anyway, just not through jumpers. Amen Thompson fits this perfectly. He's explosive, versatile, and defends like crazy. His outside shot's shaky, but his ability to finish at the rim, handle the ball, and guard multiple positions gives him a place in spacing light lineups. It's not clean or traditional, but it works when the system supports it. His twin brother Alsar, same mold. He rebounds like a big, blocks shots, and defends wings. His scoring's quiet, and his shooting's still catching up. But that activity level and athleticism lets him stay on the floor, even without knocking down threes. Markelle Fultz is a case of adapting. His early shooting struggles turned him into a slasher and passer. He thrives attacking close range and setting up teammates, even if his outside touch is inconsistent. He plays in tight space and still finds impact without floor spacing. Trey Jones is more of a tempo guard. He runs the offense, keeps the pace steady, and handles the ball. Not a strong shooter, not flashy, but solid in control and ball movement. His shot doesn't demand attention, but his other skills earn him minutes. Chris Dunn leans all in on defense. He disrupts, presses, and frustrates scorers. His jumper hasn't developed into a consistent weapon, but his defensive presence and energy give him a clear identity. These guys aren't spacing the floor. They're warping the game in other ways. Defense-only player. This archetype stands out fast. These guys specialize on one end and barely exist on the other. In a league that's obsessed with offense, spacing, and scoring, players who bring almost no offense but elite defense are rare and risky. They're either crucial or unplayable, depending on context. Matisse Thybulle is the clearest example. He racks up steals and blocks at absurd rates for a wing. He's earned multiple all-defensive selections and led the league in steals per 100 possessions. But on offense, low volume, limited creation, and mostly standing in the corner. If he's not locking down stars, he's hard to keep on the floor. Jared Vanderbilt is more of a forward, but he fits too. He defends everywhere, guards, wings, bigs, with quick feet and effort. He's a switch machine and a rebounding scrapper, but he's not spacing the floor or creating shots. His value rides entirely on energy and defensive impact. Nerlens Noel's early career was all defense, blocking shots, protecting the rim, playing vertical. Offensively, it's never clicked. Even when he was healthy, teams used him almost solely for defense and lob catching. Thabo Sefolosha was a defensive staple for years. He guarded stars, played smart team defense, and rarely turned it over, but he averaged under 6 points a game in his career. That's textbook defense-only utility. Andre Robertson might have had the most extreme case. He guarded top scorers with relentless energy. Offensively, it was 4-on-5 when he was out there, but his defensive value kept him in big lineups for years. These players are all about balance, or really, the lack of it. Defense carries everything. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, offense, only guard. The other half of the spectrum. This is a weird one because most teams beg for guards who can defend, space, and play multiple roles. But some guys, they're here for one reason: buckets. They shoot, they drive, they pull up from 30 feet, and that's pretty much it. No defense, little playmaking, just points. Bones Highland fits right in. He's flashy, quick, and lives off energy scoring run. He's not locking anyone up or running a team, but when he's hot, he can catch fire and fill it up fast. His defense, let's just say it's optional. Jordan Poole has built his whole role around shot creation. His stats show volume and streaky efficiency. He's had big scoring games and highlight plays, but he's not known for consistency or defense. When his shots are falling, he looks like a star. When they're not, it gets rough. Malik Monk's been labeled as a scorer from day one. He's often used off the bench as a microwave, someone who gets buckets fast. His value doesn't come from defense or structure. It comes from instant offense and attacking mismatches. Anthony Simons brings a smooth jumper, shot creation, and 3-level scoring. He's not locking down wings or running an offense. He's there to score. His skill set screams offense only, and that's how he gets minutes. Jalen Green's another volume scorer. He plays above the rim, takes tough shots, and puts pressure on defenders. But he's still developing other areas. Right now, it's mostly points, not much else. These guys make their living putting the ball in the hoop, and if they're not doing that, it shows fast. Low efficiency chucker. This one's wild because it goes straight against the analytics gospel. Take smart shots, keep your percentages up, and make your possessions count. But these guys, they fire away like every shot's a heat check, even if they're cold. It's weird, but somehow it keeps showing up in rotations. Dylan Brooks is the loudest example. His volume is high, and the efficiency, not so much. He'll pull up with defenders draped on him, jack contested threes, and still get his touch. His role leans heavily on defense and confidence, which lets him shoot through slumps. Teams gamble on that fire, even if it torches the box score. Nick Young, classic. He made a career off chucking. Ridiculous heat checks, contested threes, leaning jumpers, and he did it with a grin. Efficiency came and went, but the shot attempts, constant. Coaches lived with it when he got hot, and winced when he didn't. Dion Waiters played with a similar swagger. Big shots, big bricks. And the occasional game winner. He rarely passed up a chance to shoot, even when it wasn't the best look. That confidence gave him highlights and headaches. Cole Anthony's had streaky stretches. He depends on the day. These guys take risks every trip down. Sometimes it works. Most times, well, it's entertaining, just not always efficient. Turnover machine. This archetype is weird because it's built around volume and chaos. Players who run the show touch the ball constantly and hand it over just as often. They're high usage, high risk engines. Some carry offenses, others just stall them, but they all cough it up a lot. Trae Young leads the pack. He averaged nearly 5 turnovers per game last season, which also happened to be the highest in the league. He racks up assists. Sure, over 11 per game, but the price is sky high. He touches the ball more than anyone, and it shows in both the highlights and the giveaways. Stephon Castle's still early in his pro career, but already putting up turnover numbers close to 5 per game. He's aggressive, he drives hard, and he's asked to do a lot, and that means he's also giving the ball away a lot. That's typical for young creators trying to figure out NBA pressure. Keontae George is in a similar spot. His usage has climbed, and so have his turnovers, sitting around 3 to 4 per game. He's adjusting from scorer to creator, and the turnovers reflect that growing curve. Right now, he fits the mold of a young turnover machine. Jusuf Nurkic sneaks in as a big with similar habits. He handles in the post, tries risky passes, and can fumble under pressure. He's not a guard, but when you run offense through a big like him, the turnovers come too. Then there's James Harden. a turnover legend. He's on the all-time career leaderboard and had entire seasons where his turnovers rivaled his assist totals. His usage has always been massive, and so were the mistakes. High output, high turnover. That's the deal. Free throw brick. This archetype is weird because it exposes a gap in fundamentals. Elite players who dominate the game but can't cash in at the line. Free throws are the easiest points available, unless you're one of these guys. Mitchell Robinson's a clear modern example. His playoff free throw percentage sits under 40%. That's not just bad, it's unplayable in crunch time. Opposing teams target him with intentional foul, and it works. It turns a shot blocking force into a late game liability. Shaq is the blueprint. He finished with a career mark just above 52%. He was so bad at the line, teams developed an entire strategy around fouling him. Hack-a-Shaq. There were games where he went 0 for 11 from the stripe. Despite all-time dominance in the paint, the free throw line was his personal horror movie. Andre Drummond's issues at the line are well documented. He's been called a foul line calamity more than once, and his career has been dotted with low percentage seasons. He's not as historically infamous as Shaq, but his free throw brick reputation is earned. Wilt Chamberlain's another all-time great with an all-time flaw. His career free throw percentage was barely above 50. One season, he dipped into the 30s. Coaches fouled him on purpose, and fans held their breath. Despite being one of the most dominant scorers ever, the stripe was his weak spot. Height only, big. This archetype stands out. Literally, these are the giants of the NBA, towering over everyone, but often lacking mobility, shooting, or modern versatility. Their main asset is height. That's it. It's weird, but sometimes that alone is enough to get you a roster spot. Taco Fall is the most obvious fit. He measured 7'6" with the longest wingspan and standing reach ever recorded at the draft combine. His game? Protect the rim, block shots, and stay near the paint. He's the definition of a height-only center. Not switching, not spacing, just standing tall. Moses Brown fits the mold too. He's 7'2" and plays strictly around the rim. He's not known for perimeter defense or outside shooting. His job is to rebound, block, and stay close to the basket. In today's game, that puts him in a narrow role, which is why he bounces between lineups. Boban is another giant. He's 7'4", and his whole career has been about soft hooks, tip-ins, and using that massive frame. He's a great teammate, but defensively, he can't switch onto smaller players. Coaches use him in short bursts when size matters. Hasheem Thabeet was drafted second overall based on size alone. At 7'3", he had elite shot blocking in college, but didn't adapt to the NBA speed. His mobility and offensive game never caught up, and his career fizzled. Sim Buller, 7'5", one of the tallest ever, and like the others, his game stayed around the rim. He had brief NBA minutes, but mostly played internationally. His height kept him in pro ball, but his lack of agility limited his ceiling. These guys are tall, but that's the whole point. Undersized rim protector. This one's all about contradiction. Guys who aren't towering 7-footers, but still block shots, alter drives, and anchor the paint. They protect the rim without the textbook frame, which makes them weirdly effective in today's positionless chaos. Bam fits perfectly. He's listed around 6'9", but that hasn't stopped him from being one of the league's best defenders. He switches onto guards, slides with wings, then rotates back to contest at the rim. His defense is built on timing, anticipation, and verticality, not brute side. He guards everywhere, but still protects the paint like a traditional 5. Wes Unseld was an early version of it. Not tall for a center, but incredibly strong and smart. He wasn't swatting shots like a modern highlight reel, but he positioned himself perfectly, held ground, boxed out, and took charges. His rim protection was less about blocks and more about presence. In his day, that worked. Josh Smith, a highlight machine with sneaky rim protection. He was just 6'9", but averaged nearly 2 blocks per game across his career. He had the hops, timing, and instincts to swat shots from anywhere. He wasn't a center, but he definitely protected the rim. Brandon Clark plays like a pogo stick. He's quick, bouncy, and has great timing off the weak side. He may not rack up massive block numbers, but he contests everything and rotates fast. He's the kind of guy who defends both rim and perimeter without being a liability in either spot. Daniel Gafford sits on the edge. He's not huge, but he's springy and blocks shots well. He's been labeled as a rim runner and paint presence. Not quite oversized, not quite undersized, but definitely active near the basket. Depending on matchups, he fits. Ball dominant, non-shooter. This archetype sticks out in a league obsessed with floor spacing and three-point shooting. These guys handle the ball constantly, run the offense, and keep defenses busy, but they struggle to hit shots from deep. That trade-off makes them unpredictable assets in today's systems. Morant leads this list. He's explosive, drives constantly, and creates for everyone. But his outside shot hasn't caught up to his usage. Defenders go under screens, clog the paint, and dare him to shoot. Still, his rim pressure and passing keep him in control of the offense. Ben Simmons basically defined this archetype. He ran point, found open teammates, defended everywhere, but avoided jumpers like they were lava. His reluctance to shoot eventually changed how teams guarded his entire team. When defenses sagged off, his impact shrank fast. Josh Giddey's a modern example. He racks up triple-doubles and acts as a secondary creator, but his three-point shooting remains shaky. Teams help off him, which tightens driving lanes and limits spacing, especially in the playoffs when every inch counts. RJ Barrett's another ball handler who hasn't become a reliable shooter. He gets usage, creates off the dribble, but his percentages from deep and the free throw line have been inconsistent. Defenses adjust by playing the gaps, forcing tough finishes instead of respecting his jumper. Andre Miller was doing this long before the spacing revolution. He lived off crafty passes, post-ups, and mid-range floaters. He almost never shot threes, but back then you could get away with that. His success came from field, not floor spacing. All five show the same pattern: high usage, low shooting threat. That works until the spacing breaks down. Low assist point guard. This archetype sticks out because it breaks the mold for what point guards are supposed to do. When a guard is running the show but not dishing out many assists, it forces the offense into a different rhythm. Instead of creating for teammates, these guys are focused on scoring, and that changes how the team flows. Trey Mann is a perfect example. He gets guard minutes and handles the ball, but his assist numbers are pretty low for someone in that role. That makes him more of a scorer than a floor general. It's not necessarily bad, just different. He's used in systems that value his scoring, not his passing. Kevin Porter Jr. is similar. He's got the ball a lot, but he's not directing traffic like a classic point guard. His style is more isolation heavy, more focused on getting buckets than setting the table. He plays like a shot creator in a point guard spot. Gilbert Arenas, total scoring machine. He ran the offense, but it usually ended with him shooting. He had handles and confidence, but he wasn't running a pass. First offense. He was the offense. Nate Robinson brought energy, quickness, and highlights, but not a ton of playmaking. He'd light up the scoreboard before he'd rack up assists. It always felt like he was playing shooting guard in a point guard's body. Tony Delk spent his career as a combo guard with a scorer's mentality. When he handled the ball, it wasn't to distribute, it was to attack. That mindset kept his assist totals modest and his style firmly in that weird, low assist point guard zone. All these players prove that not every guard with the ball is trying to pass. No defense center. This archetype is weird because it goes against everything the modern NBA demands from a big. Teams want mobility, rim protection, rebounding, and perimeter switches, but these guys, they're offense heavy and allergic to defense. It forces teams into weird trade-offs, hoping their scoring can outweigh how much they give up on the other end. Vooch is the poster child. He's consistent offensively with double-doubles and floor spacing, but defense? Nope. His team's poor defensive ranking with him holding down the middle isn't shocking. He's never been known for blocking shots or altering drives, but man, he can score. Enes Kanter always brought energy and rebound, especially on the offensive glass, but his defense got picked apart in pick and rolls. Teams ran straight at him. He's a walking mismatch when guarding quicker players, which forced coaches to bench him in tight games. Jonas Valanciunas, he's strong, reliable, and great in the post, but he's never been agile. Modern centers have to move like wings sometime, and Jonas doesn't. His value comes from size and scoring, not versatility. Jahlil Okafor came in with so much offensive talent, but his footwork on D was a mess. He couldn't rotate fast enough, couldn't stay in front of drivers, and pick and rolls were a disaster. Andrea Bargnani was a choice. He barely rebounded, couldn't anchor the paint, and might have been the worst defender of them all. Still, teams stuck with him for his shooting. This archetype survives because teams sometimes still bet on size and scoring, hoping the defense around them can pick up the slack. Sometimes it works. Most of the time, it doesn't. Pass only. Point guard. This archetype flips the usual expectations. Instead of balancing scoring and passing, these guards lean almost entirely into playmaking. They're not looking to light up the scoreboard. They're trying to organize the offense, rack up assists, and make everyone else look good. It's weird because modern systems often want guards who can score too. So pass, only point, guards need the right context to shine. Rajon Rondo defined this role for years. He topped the league in assists multiple times and had seasons with more than 11 per game. His role wasn't to score, it was to control pace, set up teammates, and lead the offense like a quarterback. He thrived in structured systems that didn't need him to shoot. Ricky Rubio had a similar reputation. From the beginning, he was known for passing. His vision and creativity stood out even when his scoring didn't. He moved the ball, not the scoreboard. Jose Calderon focused on efficiency. He was one of the best ever in assist-to-turnover ratio and averaged close to 9 assists in a season. Scoring was secondary. His main job was to keep the offense clean and moving. Jason Williams, early in his career, leaned on flash and creativity. He was known for daring passes and highlight plays. His playmaking was more memorable than his scoring. Steve Blake quietly fit this mold. He wasn't flashy, but he played steady, structured basketball. Teams trusted him to run the offense, not take it over. His value came from decision-making, not scoring numbers. All 5 fit because they prioritized passing and team flow over personal scoring. In the right lineups, that made them vital. But in score-first systems, they often got overlooked. Freak, athlete, only. This archetype leans almost entirely on raw physical traits. Long arms, crazy verticals, top-tier speed, with less focus on polished skills or offensive versatility. These players don't get drafted because of footwork or shooting touch. They get attention for their upside, not their present-day skill set. Jackson Hayes checks every box. He's long, mobile, and explosive at the rim. He's been used as a lob target and rim protector, not a post scorer or floor spacer. Teams hope his physical traits will keep evolving, but his value so far, it's mostly above the rim. Kai Jones came into the league with a project label. He's got mobility, length, and a build that screams potential, but his game's always leaned more toward raw tools than refined production. He was drafted on what he might become, not what he was. Jericho Sims showed up at the combine and basically turned it into a dunk contest. His vertical and length were absurd. That earned him a role as an energy, big rim runner and shot blocker. He doesn't create his own shot. He finishes plays with pure bounce. Lonnie Walker brings the athleticism of a wing who can fly. Speed, burst, and hang time are his calling cards. But scouts always questioned his feel, decision-making, and consistency. He's leaned on athleticism to create offense, less so on skill or shooting. James White might be the most on-brand example here. Known for dunk contests and in-game explosions, he made waves with his vertical, not his jumper. That's the definition of this archetype. A player whose shot's still in development, but who can jump out of the gym. Ball hog. This archetype flips the playmaking script. Instead of moving the ball and setting up teammates, these players dominate possessions, create for themselves, and shoot a lot. It's not about selfishness. It's about role, tendencies, and usage patterns that lean hard into isolation scoring. They hold the ball, dribble it, and usually end the possession themselves. Cam Thomas fits this cleanly. He's posted one of the league's highest usage rates among young guards. That means lots of touches, lots of shots, and not a lot of passing. His value comes from shot creation, not running the offense. Michael Porter Jr. has been cited for high shot attempts per assist. That's a red flag for this archetype. When he gets the ball, it usually ends with a jump. He doesn't create much for others, even when he's scoring efficiently. Carmelo Anthony built his career on isolation scoring. He led his teams in field goal attempts season after season. He didn't play through team offense, he was the offense. That made him effective, but also fit the ball hog label critics often used. Ben Gordon's game leaned toward volume scoring, not facilitating. He was a microwave scorer, but the offense often stopped when he touched the ball. Low assist totals and a shoot-first mentality aligned him with this archetype. Kobe Bryant had sky-high usage. He controlled games through scoring, not passing. Even in complex offenses, he often operated outside the flow, creating his own shots at will. His shot volume and isolation frequency made him a prime example of this role. Each of these players leaned toward offense that ran through them and usually ended with them. That's the essence of a ball hog. Low motor, high talent. This archetype stands out because it's all about skill and talent without the consistent effort that coaches usually want. These players can dominate with offensive tools, but their effort, especially on defense or when things get tough, doesn't always match the talent. The result? Teams never know what version they're getting. Christian Wood flashed 20-plus point game and solid rebounding with Detroit, but it only lasted a few weeks. The production dipped with more minutes, and coaches questioned his consistency. he looked like a future star. Sometimes. Other times, invisible. That inconsistency is classic low motor. Karl Anthony Towns is an elite shooter for his size. He can stretch the floor, score inside, and rebound. But defensive lapses have been a constant issue. Critics point to poor awareness and effort on rotation. The offense is undeniable. The motor, still in question. DeAndre Ayton had #1 pick hype. He's mobile, skilled, and can score around the rim. But fans and analysts have long questioned his focus and intensity. He disappears for stretches, and the effort doesn't match the physical tools. That's what keeps him from dominating consistently. LaMelo Ball's creativity and passing are elite. He's flashy, skilled, and can lead an offense, but defensive effort and maturity have been shaky. Some nights, he's locked in. Other nights, the motor fades, and so does the impact. Zion Williamson might be the most extreme case. His scoring is unstoppable when healthy, but conditioning, defense, and availability are major concerns. The talent is unreal. The motor and durability haven't kept pace. These players show how high-end skill with low motor risk creates a strange archetype. The highs are great, the lows, frustrating. Can guard anyone. This archetype is rare because it breaks the mold of specialized defenders. Most players guard a type, small, guards, mobile wings, or bigs. But these guys, they cover all of them. Guards, forwards, even centers if needed. That kind of versatility takes size, strength, agility, and elite defensive IQ, and not many have it. OG's a prototype wing stopper who can switch across guards and forwards. His lateral quickness and strength let him fight over screens or body up bigger wings. He's one of the best multi-position defenders in the league, a huge reason he's so valuable. Wemby might be the weirdest example. He's 7'5" but moves like a wing. He led the league in blocks and made all defense as a rookie. That's not normal. He switches out on guards, drops back in pick and rolls, and covers ground like no other big. Anthony Davis does it with his mobility and timing. He defends the paint, switches onto guards, and contests shots at the rim and perimeter. He's one of the few bigs who's effective in both drop coverage and switch-heavy systems. Lou Dort is the opposite, a compact defender with strength and speed. He's made his name locking up guards, wings, and even switching on to bigs in short bursts. His motor and physicality let him punch above his size. Scottie Pippen was ahead of his time. He guarded 1 through 4, led the league in steals, and anchored defenses with length, anticipation, and positioning. Before switch, everything was trendy, he already did it. This archetype isn't common because most players trade off speed for size or length for agility. These 5 didn't. They made versatility their calling card, and it reshaped defensive flexibility. Fowler. This archetype is weird because it's built on defense, but not in the way coaches want. These are players who defend physically, maybe aggressively, but end up racking up fouls faster than highlights. They don't always get benched though. Their teams live with the whistles because the upside's still there. Keyshawn George leads the pack. He's averaging over 4 fouls per game, which is wild for his role. That kind of foul rate screams risk. It limits minutes and opens the door for foul baiting offenses. But his physical tools still get him on the floor. Jaren Jackson is a perfect example of the Fowler paradox. He's a great shot blocker and disruptor, but his foul rate is one of the highest in the league. The more he contests, the more he risks whistles. It's a tightrope, and one he walks every night. Wendell Carter is similar. He brings solid rebounding and scoring for a big, but his foul count regularly puts him in early trouble. Teams need him on the floor, but his foul history forces coaches to juggle minutes more than they'd like. Jaden McDaniels fouls like a big, even though he plays on the wing. He's long, aggressive, and always in the mix, but those contests add up. When you average close to 4 fouls as a forward, that's a pattern, not a fluke. These players are useful, but volatile. Great defense, just not always. Legal. Mid-range maestro. This archetype is rare because it leans into what most teams try to avoid. Mid-range shots aren't as flashy or mathematically efficient as threes or layups, but for some players, that in-between space is where they thrive. They live off footwork, balance, and timing, and punish defenders who dare to sag off. DeMar is the blueprint. He's taken thousands of mid-range shots and hit over 40% of them across multiple seasons. He doesn't need the 3-ball to be dangerous. His game is built on jab steps, pull-ups, and rising over defenders. It's deliberate and deadly. Kawhi Leonard treats the mid-range like his personal office. He isolates, backs down, and pulls up from 15 feet like it's 2010 again. His mechanics are crisp, and his strength lets him shoot through contact. Teams know it's coming. They still can't stop it. Brandon Ingram brings length to the mix. He's tall enough to shoot over most defenders, and smooth enough to do it in rhythm. He doesn't always attack the rim or launch threes. He picks his spots, often just inside the arc, where defenders don't expect volume scoring. Shai is crafty. His handle and pace control let him carve out space near the elbows or free throw line. He's got one of the highest mid-range usage rates in the league, and it works because defenders are terrified of his drive. See, Jay McCollum blends scoring levels, but his pull-up mid-range game has always been reliable. When defenders chase him off the line, he stops short and makes them pay. He doesn't force it. He just takes what's open, and that's often the mid-range, short rebounder. Rebounding usually belongs to the big guys, the ones with wingspans like pterodactyls, and the job of just hanging out in the paint. So when a guard crashes the glass like it's their part-time job, that's weird. Not bad weird, just weird because it's not supposed to happen. Guards are supposed to handle the ball, take threes, and complain to refs, not wrestle for boards with 7-footers. So when someone like Russell Westbrook grabs more rebounds than actual bigs, you notice. He's piled up more than 8,700 rebounds, more than any other guard ever. It's not normal, but that's what makes it fun. Then there's Josh Hart, who rebounds like he's trying to prove a point. He's barely wing-sized, yet during part of the 2024 season, he was averaging nearly 10 rebounds a night. That's just hilarious. Jason Kidd was another one. He wasn't just a floor general, he was a vacuum. In 2007, he averaged over 8 boards a game. Oscar Robertson basically invented this whole deal. He was rebounding like a forward before it was cool. And yes, even Michael Jordan shows up on this list, not because he had to, but because he could. He always showed up wherever the ball was. These guys flipped the usual script, combining fast break, speed with glass cleaning effort. They keep the ball alive, shift momentum, and steal extra possessions. That's why the short rebounder label sticks. It's strange, it's rare, and it proves that hustle sometimes beats height. Paint thriving guard. This archetype breaks the mold of the modern three-point parade. These guards carve out space in the paint like it's their personal workshop. Jalen Brunson's a great example. He's not soaring over anyone, but somehow he's always at the rim, drawing fouls, finishing tough layups, and making defenders look slow. His game is built on footwork, patience, and timing, everything needed to thrive in tight spaces. Then you've got Donovan Mitchell. He's explosive, sure, but it's the way he slices through defenders and gets to the cup that defines him. His offense lives in the lane, where he turns body control into buckets. De'Aaron Fox, that man moves like he's in fast forward. His first step should be illegal. He beats defenders off the dribble and gets to the rim before the help defense can even blink. That's what makes him dangerous. Not just the speed, but the control at the rim. D-Wade basically set the blueprint. In his prime, he lived off slashing attacks, drawing contact, and finishing through chaos. He was never just a jump shooter. He was a problem in the paint. And Derrick Rose, before injuries slowed him, might have been the most breathtaking paint-attacking guard ever. His drives were violent and graceful all at once. He'd levitate, contort, and land with 2 points. These guys don't wait behind the arc. They go get it. Paint-thriving guards force defenders to collapse, open up shooters, and create headaches with every drive. They don't rely on long-range shooting to be dangerous. They bring the pressure straight to the rim. That's what makes this archetype different. It's physical, strategic, and when done right, almost impossible to stop. If Chris Paul, he's had one of the most respected careers in league history, and now he's stepping into a new role with the Clippers. After more than 2 decades of elite-level play, he's not trying to prove anything. He's already second all-time in assists and steals, and his place in basketball history is secure. But right now, it's clear he's in a different phase of his career. He's averaging around 13 minutes per game with just over 2 points, under 2 rebounds, and a little under 4 assists. His shooting's taken a noticeable dip, down to about 24% from the field, which is a big drop from the numbers he used to put up. But this isn't about chasing stats anymore. It's about being a veteran presence on a team with other stars, where his leadership and experience carry just as much weight as anything on the stat sheet. Last season with the Spurs, he started all 82 games, the first player ever to do that in his 20th season or beyond. That's no small thing. He averaged nearly 9 points and over 7 assists, and while his efficiency wasn't what it once was, he still showed up every night. Now, back with the Clippers on a 1-year deal, he's embracing a bench role and offering guidance in short bursts on the floor. He's not the go-to option anymore, and that's okay. His days as the engine of an offense are behind him, but the intelligence, the feel for the game, and the ability to control tempo are still there in spurts. At 40 years old, just being in the league is impressive, and the fact that he's still out there competing shows just how much he loves the game. He's hinted that this might be his final season. If so, it's a fitting last chapter, back where he helped build a franchise identity. He may not be leading in the box score, but he's still part of the story. The numbers have dipped, but the respect around the league hasn't gone anywhere. Kevin Love, once a dominant rebounder and a reliable scoring threat, Kevin Love is now in a much quieter spot with the Utah Jazz. At 37 years old, he's only played a handful of games this season, and his numbers reflect a shift toward more of a depth role. He's averaging under 3 points, around 4 rebounds, and just under 3 assists in about 12 minutes per game. His shooting has really dipped, hitting just 25% from the field and barely over 14% from 3. He's been traded around a bit lately, most recently from the Miami Heat to the Jazz in a multi-team deal. That trade seemed more about salary matching than adding him for a specific role. Reports even say he might be a buyout candidate, which could mean the Jazz aren't looking to make him part of their long-term plans. His own quote after the deal, "Never thought I'd be a math problem," kind of sums up where things are for him right now. This isn't the Kevin Love who once led the league in rebounding or helped Cleveland win a championship. Back then he was a 5-time All-Star, an All-NBA selection, and a nightly double-double machine. Now the injuries have added up, especially in recent seasons. Last year, he played only 23 games and averaged around 5 points. That's a big contrast from the days when he could put up 20 and 10 without breaking a sweat. Still, his basketball IQ and passing touch are there in flashes, and he's always been known as a smart teammate. But the numbers and playing time show that his role has really diminished. The Jazz aren't building around him, and it's unclear if he'll even finish the season with them. At this point, Love's contributions are mostly off the stat sheet. He's still active, still suited up, but clearly in the final stages of his career. His resume speaks for itself, but on the court right now, the impact just isn't what it used to be. DeAndre Jordan, known for years as one of the most efficient scorers and most dominant rebounders in the league, he's now in a completely different spot with the New Orleans Pelicans. At 37 years old, he's playing about 11 minutes per game and giving them around 4.5 points and 5 rebounds. The production is down, the role is small, and he's no longer the physical presence that used to anchor the paint. What has stayed consistent is his ability to finish around the rim. He's hitting 80% of his shots this season, though that's in very limited attempts. He's not creating offense or acting as a defensive anchor anymore. He's out there in short bursts, giving energy, but nothing close to the impact he once had. And honestly, nobody expected him to be the same player he was in his prime. This is just what happens late in a long career. Jordan used to play over 30 minutes a game and post double-doubles like it was nothing. Back in his Clippers days, he led the league in rebounding and shot over 70% from the field. He even made an All-Star appearance and landed multiple All-NBA and All-Defensive selections. He's the franchise leader for the Clippers in games, rebounds, and blocks. But that's all part of a resume, not a reflection of where he's at today. Last year with Denver, he was already down to about 12 minutes per game, and that trend's clearly continuing. His 1-year contract with New Orleans is low risk and low cost, more about adding experience than filling a starting lineup. His value right now is probably more in the locker room than on the stat sheet. From a pure number standpoint, there's no debate. The production's way down. But from a legacy standpoint, there's a lot to respect. The field goal percentage record, the years of leading defense efforts, the durability, all still part of his story. But these days, he's playing a very minor role, and it's hard to see that changing. This version of DeAndre is a veteran depth piece, not the force he used to be. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Al Horford, a 5-time All-Star and NBA champion, Horford's had a long, steady career built on reliability, skill, and basketball IQ. Now with the Golden State Warriors, he's taken on more of a background role, providing leadership and spot minutes instead of anchoring the starting 5. At 39 years old, he's averaging just 4.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, and a little over 1 assist per game across about 6 appearances. The efficiency has dropped too. His field goal percentage is sitting at just under 30%. That's a steep fall from his career shooting marks, which have hovered over 50%. He's not getting the same looks, and he's clearly not finishing at the same rate. But again, that's not really the point of having Horford on this roster. Back in his prime, Horford was a central figure for the Hawks and Celtics. He could stretch the floor, rebound, defend, and pass, and did all of it well. His consistency helped teams win games, and his ability to guard multiple positions made him valuable deep into his 30s. But the days of putting up double digits nightly and playing heavy minutes are mostly behind him. Last season in Boston, he averaged around 9 points and over 6 rebounds while still playing solid minutes. But with age comes a natural decline, and this season it's showing in the numbers. His production is lower, his role is smaller, and his presence is more about experience than box score impact. He signed a multi-year deal with Golden State, and it looks like they brought him in more for what he brings off the court than what he can do on it. That said, Horford's been around so long for a reason. He's respected in every locker room he's been in, and he's won at the highest level. He knows the system, keeps the ball moving, and makes the right reads. But if you're looking strictly at performance and efficiency this season, the drop is hard to ignore. He's still suiting up, but the game has clearly moved on from relying on him like it used to. Ben Simmons. Just a few years ago, he was racking up triple-doubles, making all-star rosters, and anchoring the defense for one of the top teams in the East. Now, he's not even on a roster. At 29 years old, Simmons is still a free agent 2 weeks into the regular season. For someone drafted number 1 overall and once labeled a franchise cornerstone, that's a serious shift. His most recent season with Clippers saw averages of around 5 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in 22 minutes per game. That's a long way from the 15 to 16 points, 8 rebounds, and nearly 8 assists he was posting earlier in his career. He's not just playing less, the impact is a fraction of what it used to be. Injuries have been a major factor, especially the recurring back problems that sidelined him for the entire 2021-22 season. Even when he returned to the floor, the explosiveness and confidence that made him such a unique point forward weren't quite there. His field goal percentage stayed decent at around 52%, but the volume was way down. The creativity and speed in transition used to define his game, but lately, it's been more about short stints and limited bursts. Now, being unsigned at the start of a season speaks volumes. Teams aren't just unsure how to use him. Many are opting not to try at all. That's not always about talent alone. Contract history, fit concerns, and lingering health questions play into it. But the fact remains, Simmons is not currently producing at any level because he's not on the court at all. That doesn't erase what he accomplished earlier. 3 All-Star selections, a Rookie of the Year award, defensive versatility. It's all still on his record. But in terms of current production, his numbers have dropped sharply, and no team has offered him a role to bounce back from that. He's not officially retired, and there's always a chance for a return. But as of now, Simmons is on the outside looking in. His early promise feels distant, and for the moment, his playing career is in a full stop. Kyle Lowry. Once the heart of the Toronto Raptors, Lowry built a career off toughness, playmaking, and leadership. He's a 6-time All-Star, an NBA champion, and someone who earned every bit of respect he's got around the league. But in year 20, things look very different. Now back in his hometown of Philadelphia, he's suiting up for the 76ers in a much smaller role, and the numbers show it. So far this season, he's averaging just 3 points and 1 assist per game, with no recorded rebounds in the early box scores. The minutes are limited, and the impact on the floor is hard to see in the stats. That's a huge drop from his career marks of nearly 14 points, over 6 assists, and more than 4 rebounds per game. Even last season, he averaged around 4 points and under 3 assists, numbers that were already a far cry from his all-star form. He's about to turn 40, and at that age, it's no surprise the physical side of his game has slowed. The burst he once had on drives, the defensive hustle, the transition control, all of that is more memory than current weapon. Right now, he's more of a mentor than a contributor, more presence than playmaker. The Sixers clearly value his experience, especially with a roster trying to stay in the contender mix. After Miami, many wondered if Lowry would hang it up. Instead, he's opted for one more ride in the city where it all started. He's still got the basketball IQ and the leadership chops, but the role has clearly changed. He's not expected to score in double digits or take over a game. He's expected to be steady, supportive, and ready when called. Looking purely at production, he's nowhere near his old self. But looking at the full picture, he's doing what a lot of great vets do at the end, giving what he can when he can. He's not carrying teams anymore, but he's still showing up, still putting in work, even if it's only in short shifts. Eric Gordon, once known for his quick release and scoring punch, Gordon is now in his 18th NBA season with a role that's more about depth than production. At 36 years old, he re-signed with the Philadelphia 76ers on a 1-year deal, and 2 weeks into the 2025 to 2026 season, the numbers are showing a sharp drop. He's averaging just 4 points in about 8 minutes per game. The volume is low, the minutes are short, and his impact on the floor has clearly faded. Last season wasn't much different. He averaged under 7 points, barely over 1 rebound, and fewer than 2 assists in roughly 20 minutes a night. His shooting was still solid. He hit over 40% from 3, but his opportunities were limited. Earlier in his career, he was a full-time starter and regular double-digit scorer. Back in his Clippers, Pelicans, and Rockets days, Gordon averaged around 15 points per game and logged heavy minutes. That's no longer the case. He also had wrist surgery in February of 2025, missing a big chunk of time. That injury came after a stretch of declining production and raised more questions about durability. For a player whose game relies heavily on timing, quickness, and rhythm, a wrist issue can be tough to bounce back from, especially this late in a career. The Sixers didn't bring him back to play 30 minutes. He's there as a veteran presence, a guy who can space the floor if needed, and maybe hit a few threes off the bench, but it's clear that he's not a central part of the rotation anymore. The stats are down, the role is reduced, and his age is a factor. Still, he had a strong career. 6th Man of the Year, over 15 points per game across multiple seasons, and a trusted shooter in playoff settings. But in the present moment, Gordon's not giving teams the production he once did. He's still in the league, still active, but from a performance standpoint, he's definitely on the back end. Right now, he's playing more to fill a seat than fill up the box score. Garrett Temple, a 16-year veteran and one of the league's longest tenured undrafted players, Temple is still on the Raptors roster, but his days as an on-court contributor are clearly winding down. At 39 years old, he re-signed with Toronto for one more season, and so far in 2025 to 2026, there's been almost no statistical footprint. That's not surprising, considering last season he averaged fewer than 2 points per game. Back in 2018, Temple was still logging heavy minutes and averaging close to 8 points per game. He was a steady presence, known for defense, energy, and professionalism. But now, his role is more symbolic than tactical. He's played for over 10 different NBA teams and appeared in more than 770 regular season games, yet his current averages reflect a massive dip. Last year, it was about 1.9 points, 1 rebound, and just over 1 assist in 28 appearances. The numbers show a steep decline, but that's not a knock on Temple. It's what happens when a player outlasts most of his draft class and even most of his undrafted peers. The Raptors are paying him a reported $3.6 million this season, but it's not for buckets. It's for experience, guidance, and locker room stability. He's there to mentor, not to score. His shooting dipped to just 30% last season, and his minutes have been minimal ever since. A left knee sprain also sidelined him in April, which didn't help. But even when healthy, Temple hasn't been a part of the core rotation. His skill set is just no longer needed night to night. Still, Temple's story is a win in the big picture. From undrafted to a 16-year career, earning the respect of players, coaches, and executives along the way, that's rare. But in terms of current on-court value, the production is virtually non-existent. He's active, yes, but the Raptors aren't relying on him to produce. He's on the bench, suited up, and leading from the sideline. And at this stage, that's where his role belongs. Not in the stat sheet, but in the huddle. Jeff Green, with over 17 years in the league and 1,200 games under his belt, Green is still hanging around, now with the Houston Rockets. At 39 years old, he's taken on a role that's more about presence than production. So far this season, he's averaging just a few minutes per game with extremely limited scoring. One early sample showed about 4 minutes per game across 3 outings and barely any box score impact. That's not a surprise. His numbers have been trending down for years. Last season, Green played in 32 games and averaged 5.4 points and 1.8 rebounds in just over 12 minutes a night. That's a far cry from the 16 points per game he was putting up during his peak years in Oklahoma City and Boston. Even his once reliable versatility, guarding multiple positions, spacing the floor, now shows up more in scouting reports than on the court. Back in the day, Green was known as a steady starter, logging 30-plus minutes and giving teams reliable scoring. Now, he's more of a break glass in case of emergency option. The Rockets signed him to a 1-year deal at the veteran minimum, and it's clear he's there to be a mentor for the younger players. His nickname, Uncle Jeff, makes more sense than ever. His shooting hasn't totally fallen off. Last season, he hit over 50% from the field and just under 37% from 3, but the volume is low and the rhythm just isn't the same. That's what happens as players age out of consistent minutes. Even though he's not making much of a statistical impact anymore, Green still brings value in less visible ways. He He's a calm voice on a young team, a guy who's been through almost everything in the league. But if we're talking about performance, the drop-off is clear. He's no longer a rotation piece, and he's not being leaned on for production. He's still around, still wearing a uniform, but the numbers show what the role really is now. Stay ready, offer guidance, and let the young guys do the running. Joe Ingles, one of the league's most respected veterans, Ingles has made a long career out of craft, vision, and three-point shooting. But now in his 18th NBA season and at 38 years old, he's clearly in a reduced role. With the Timberwolves, he's on a one-year deal. And so far this season, the minutes and production are barely registering. Through early games, he's averaging around 4 minutes per appearance, with 0 points, 0 rebounds, and just over 1 assist per game. That's a long way from his peak years in Utah. Back in the 2017 to 2018 season, he was averaging around 12 points and 4 assists while playing over 30 minutes a night. He shot the ball well, distributed, and held his own on defense. He even became the Jazz's all-time leader in made three-pointers. Not bad for a guy who went undrafted. His decline has been steady and expected. From Milwaukee to Orlando to Minnesota, his role has shrunk with each stop. Last season, he appeared in just 19 games and scored under 1 point per game. He averaged fewer than 6 minutes and had only marginal impact in the box score. This year, it's even less. He's not part of the rotation, and there's no indication that will change. Still, he brings value as a locker room guy. Teammates and coaches speak highly of him. He's seen a lot, played a lot, and offers guidance to younger players. The Timberwolves clearly signed him for presence more than production. His contract, a one-year deal around $3.6 million, reflects that mindset. Not an investment in scoring, but in veteran mentorship. His ability to shoot hasn't completely disappeared, but without rhythm, touches, or real minutes, it's not something he's being asked to showcase. The numbers don't lie. His points, rebounds, assists, and usage are all near career lows. He's still in the league, still showing up, but as far as on-court contributions go, it's minimal. Ingles is now filling the quiet, end-of-career role, suited up, supportive, and slowly stepping out of the spotlight. Brook Lopez. At 37 years old, Lopez is now in his 18th NBA season, suiting up for the Los Angeles Clippers in a role that looks very different from what it used to be. After years as a dependable starter and rim protector, his production has dropped sharply to start the 2025 to 2026 season. He's averaging just under 7 points, 3 rebounds, and less than 1 assist per game. His shooting has also taken a hit, landing at around 38% from the field so far. That's a steep decline from last season, where he averaged 13 points, 5 rebounds, and nearly 2 blocks per game while playing in 80 games. The year before that, he put up similar numbers. He was still a key part of the rotation in Milwaukee, giving them spacing and paint defense. But now, with the Clippers, he's playing fewer minutes, backing up a younger center and taking fewer shots. Earlier in his career, Lopez was a traditional post scorer. Then he reinvented himself as a three-point shooter, an elite shot block. He made an all-star appearance, won a championship, and averaged nearly 16 points and 6 rebounds per game across more than 1,100 games. But those days are behind him. The defensive numbers also reflect a change. His defensive rating has worsened compared to earlier years, and he's not anchoring the defense the same way. For a big man who relied on timing, size, and positioning, even a slight drop in physical ability makes a big difference. He's still trying to provide value, but the efficiency and impact are nowhere near what they once were. His current contract, a 2-year deal reportedly worth $18 million, shows that teams still see value in his experience and size. But that deal also reflects a different role, veteran depth, not nightly production. He's there to provide leadership, stretch the floor occasionally, and hold things down for short bursts. He's still on the floor, still part of the roster, but the numbers and role clearly say he's not the same Brook Lopez that helped win a title. The version now is winding down. Nicholas Batum, once a do-it-all wing, known for his length, basketball IQ, and playmaking, Batum is now entering the final stages of a long NBA career. At 36 years old, soon to be 37 in December, he's in his 18th NBA season, and the numbers make it clear that his best days are behind him. In his prime, especially with Portland and Charlotte, Batum was a versatile starter. He averaged around 10 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists per game across over 1,100 regular season appearances. He was also known for his defensive versatility and reliable three-point shot, hitting around 37% from deep across his career. But fast forward to the present, and things have changed dramatically. In the 2024 to 2025 season with the Clippers, Batum averaged just 4 points, under 3 rebounds, and barely over 1 assist per game in fewer than 18 minutes a night. That was already a significant drop-off, but early. This season, it's dropped even further, around 3 points, under 3 rebounds, under 1 assist per game, with a field goal percentage hovering below 30%. That kind of statistical decline isn't just a slump. It's a steep fall from starter-level contributions to near non-factor production. He's no longer a regular in the rotation and is playing minimal minutes. His contract, a 2-year deal worth just over $11 million, reflects his status. He's now a depth piece and locker room presence, not someone teams count on for nightly impact. This is not to diminish what Batum has done. He's had a long, consistent, quietly productive career and has been a respected figure on and off the court. But from a pure performance standpoint, he fits the washed-up framing. He's not putting up meaningful numbers, not playing major minutes, and not impacting games the way he once did. He's still around. He's still suited up. But at this stage, it's more about experience than production. Mason Plumlee. He's had a long career, and at this point, it's clear he's shifted into a different kind of role. Early on, he was a strong rotation big. He brought energy, rebounded well, moved the ball, and gave teams solid minutes. During his peak seasons, he was contributing across the board, playing 20 to 28 minutes a night, and doing the little things coaches love from a big man. Now, in the current season, his role looks very different. The numbers tell the story: less than 1 point, about 1 rebound, and barely any assists per game. He's still out there, but he's playing very limited minutes, and his presence is more about being a veteran option than a nightly impact guy. That doesn't mean he can't help, it just means teams aren't relying on him to carry the load anymore. Last season in Phoenix, he still gave them something off the bench, about 4.5 points, 6 rebounds, and efficient shooting. For a backup big, that's reliable production. But Charlotte brought him in this year on a 1-year deal, and it's pretty clear they value him more for his experience and leadership than his box score contributions. At 35, it's a natural transition. Big men often face this kind of shift: less mobility, fewer minutes, and a smaller role. But he's still showing up, still doing what's asked, and still part of the roster for a reason. There's value in having someone who's been through it all, especially on a younger team. His early numbers this season are quiet, but roles like this can change. Depending on team needs or injuries, he might not be the center he once was, but he stayed in the league because of his professionalism and how well he understands the game. Even if he's not putting up big stats, there's always a place for vets who know how to play, can set screens, move the ball, and talk on defense. That's where he is now, a respected vet doing what he can in a smaller role. Bismack Biyombo. He's been in the league since 2011, and over that stretch, he's carved out a role as a dependable defensive big. He's never been known for putting up flashy numbers or lighting up the scoreboard, but his presence around the rim and on the glass gave teams value. His best years came when he was logging regular minutes, blocking shots, grabbing rebounds, and holding down the paint without needing the ball. Right now, though, things have definitely shifted. His role this season is small. He's not getting many minutes, and the stat lines reflect that. Less than 1 point per game in the early going. That doesn't mean he can't help in spots, but it's clear he's not a regular part of the rotation anymore. At 33, with over 800 games played, his body's logged plenty of wear and tear, and that's showing in how teams are using him. Last year in San Antonio, he still gave them something. About 5 points and 6 rebounds in under 20 minutes a game. Not bad for a backup center, but even then, he joined the team mid-season after signing a few short-term contracts and eventually locked in a 1-year deal. That's usually a sign teams view a player as depth, not someone they're building around. This year looks similar. He's there as a veteran presence, maybe to step in if injuries pile up, but not expected to be a key contributor. His role came after the Spurs needed a short-term solution, not because they were targeting him as part of the rotation long-term. That context matters. He's still respected, still brings effort, and still does the little things that coaches appreciate. But his days of consistent production look like they're in the rearview mirror. So while Bismack's had a steady, respectable career, his current situation lines up with what we usually see from aging big men. Reduced minutes, small contract, limited impact. It's part of the natural cycle in the league. He's still in uniform, but no longer playing a central role. That part of his career has passed. P.J. Tucker, one of the most rugged forwards of the last decade, but at this stage, he's clearly moved into the late career phase. Once known for his physical defense, corner threes, and high motor, Tucker's game has always been built on grit. Back in his prime, he was logging over 30 minutes a night, guarding multiple positions and knocking down threes at a reliable clip. He was a glue guy, the kind of player coaches love to keep on the floor. Now at 40 years old, the picture looks very different. His minutes have dropped significantly, and his role's more about being a veteran presence than an everyday contributor. In his last season, he appeared in only 3 games for the Knicks, averaging around 3 points and under 3 rebounds. His team option wasn't picked up, and that's usually a sign teams are moving on from depending on someone as a rotation piece. He's entering this season in that familiar territory for older players, signed as depth, not as part of the game plan. The physical tools that made him such a tough defender have started to fade, and while he's still strong, the foot speed and defensive range that made him special just aren't what they used to be. Throughout his career, he's played for several teams and brought value everywhere he went. He won a championship with Milwaukee and earned a reputation as one of the toughest guys in the league. That respect still follows him, but the numbers don't lie. From 7-point seasons with nearly 6 rebounds in over 30 minutes to barely seeing the floor and barely scoring, that's a major drop. Teams now see him as someone who can help in the locker room, maybe spot minutes when needed, but not a guy who's going to give you 25 solid minutes a night anymore. That doesn't erase what he's done in the past, but if we're talking about players who are clearly past their prime in terms of production, Tucker fits the description. He's still around, but in a much smaller role, and that's where his career sits right now. James Johnson, he's had a long road through the league, and at this point, he's clearly in the final stretch. Johnson was drafted back in 2009, and over the years, he built a reputation as a physical, versatile forward who could guard multiple spots, move the ball, and contribute in transition. At his best, he was giving teams real two-way production, around 13 points, 5 rebounds, and nearly 4 assists in 27 minutes a night. Now, that level of impact feels pretty distant. In recent years, his time on the floor has almost disappeared. Last season, he averaged just over 3 minutes per game. That's not rotation level play, that's closer to an emergency spot fill or a courtesy appearance in a blowout. His per game numbers were less than 1 point, barely half a rebound, and his shooting percentage hovered below 40%. At 38, there's not much mystery to what's going on. Big minutes and high usage just aren't on the table anymore. Teams aren't looking for him to play a regular role. What they value now is his experience, maybe some leadership behind the scenes, in the rare night where they need a forward to fill in a few quiet minutes without turning the ball over. He's still been listed with Indiana, but he's not part of the nightly game plan. With 16 seasons under his belt and over 780 games played, the wear is obvious. Once a guy who could do a bit of everything, now he's more of a just-in-case option at the end of the bench. Coaches aren't calling plays for him, and most nights, he's staying in warm-ups. So if we're talking about players who've clearly stepped away from their prime and no longer impact games the way they once did, Johnson fits that category. His past production was solid. He had real value, but those days are behind him. He stayed in the league by being professional and reliable. But when it comes to on-court impact, he's barely registering anymore. He's still on a roster, but the chapter where he was a contributor is closed. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.